himself a crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, the crossover is brought to you by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com.
Yeah,
Good Monday morning, boys.
Hiya. How you doing?
Hey, congratulations, Hunter Deckers.
Where'd he go?
He is signing a OTA agreement with the Saints.
That's right.
Oh, Saints need a quarterback, I heard.
They do.
They passed on 1 8 times. Got him!
They don't. They got,
did throw another pick six.
they got Tyler Shuck. By the way,
Tyler Shuck.
so by the way,
Tyler Shuck getting drafted before Shedeur is one of the best things of all time.
how about Miller?
There's no way in hell that Tyler Shuck, he was so average for 6 years in college.
You want this little tidbit here?
Maybe 7 years.
2 weeks ago,
How long did Tyler Shuck play college
7
football?
years.
Yeah,
Was it
7
He's
years.
a 7-year player. He's
Amazing.
25 years old. So 2 weeks ago, there was a report that the Saints straight up did not like Shedeur, that they weren't going to pick Shedeur at 9. Even if they were to pick Shedeur or pick a quarterback at 9, it was going to be Jackson Dart. Then a week later, it comes out, hey, New Orleans, even if Shedeur's like in the second round, they don't even want to touch him. They don't want to draft him. And then we have the anonymous executive
Oh, I love
come
that.
out
That was great.
and say, oh, he's so, arrogant, this and that. He's like, didn't take the meeting seriously. I guarantee you that anonymous executive was probably from New Orleans.
Amazing. You probably are right.
If we're connecting dots here.
Probably are right.
Hey, you strike me as a guy that has made some prank calls before. When you were younger.
Maybe. Prank calls were big, though. You got to understand.
I know, back in the day.
Yeah, prank calls were big. Remember the I kicked your dog?
Oh,
Or you kicked my dog?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Remember that guy? Yeah, you don't remember. You were just,
I had caller ID.
you were like goo goo gaga. And when the guy was like, you kicked my dog. The guy that was the original. That was from like 2000, probably, I don't know, 4.
I could never prank call because everybody knew who was calling.
That's
on the
crazy.
phones when I was growing
We'd
up.
call radio stations.
Oh, the radio stations were the big one.
Call radio stations.
Or
and
you
request
call
songs.
Or you call somebody and go, is your refrigerator running?
Oh.
And they'd be like, of course it is.
You better go
Wait,
get it.
yes. Hang up. And then like with your buddies, you'd be like, everybody, let's do another one.
Yeah.
Let's call Mrs. Johnson, our 6th grade teacher.
Yeah, prank calls were awesome. Now it's
Little,
too many sweats.
So many sweats. So many sweats.
That's why I don't prank call anymore. Too many sweats.
The new prank call is that you call a Pizza Hut and then you call a Domino's and then you put the phones together and you have them talk to one another. So they go, hey, this is Domino's. What would you like to order? And they're like, hey, this is Pizza Hut. What would you like to order?
I've seen the one a bunch of times. It gets clipped everywhere where
his name's John Cena.
You got it. You got it. Exactly right. They call some lady and
WWE Super Slam.
They're trying to sell WWE Super Slam. And she's like, no, thank you. I don't want this. Hangs up.
And his name?
Guy calls back and he's like, and the price keeps getting lower and lower and lower.
Well, the best part
WWE Super Slam.
The best part is that
John Cena.
He calls her for the 8th time. Okay. And she goes, I'm sick and tired of this. This is absolutely, stop calling me. And the guy goes,
it's clearly staged.
And the guy goes, oh, no, this is, it was a woman. She goes, oh, no, we're just calling to see if you want to donate to the military, if you want to, donate to our troops. And she goes, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I've just been on the phone all day. Yes, I would love to. And then the guy comes back and he goes, a member of the military, John Cena. She flips out.
Yeah, I mean that was a staged one, but I like it. I still like it.
The second date updates.
Second date updates.
So it's like a Chicago radio station. It's called Brook and Jubal in the morning. They do like second date updates where a guy goes on a first date.
Okay.
They think it goes really well. Then they call to the station and they go, look, I got ghosted. I have no reason why I got ghosted. I met this person. This is their number. So then they keep them on the line and the radio station will call the person that ghosted them and will be like, hey, we heard you recently went on a date. And then they'll
Why didn't you like it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll reveal something. So
I think I have heard one
there
of those.
There was one where I've listened to a lot of them because it's just on the radio. There was one where I'm like, this is real. but almost all of them are like staged and faked.
Yeah.
And you don't care because they're so funny.
Yeah,
They are
funny.
so funny.
Radio bits, prank call radio bits. They used to do that all the time on. Well, they still probably do it on. Well, I don't know. Stern. What does Stern do anymore?
I don't think he does
Right.
those.
Is he on the air for about
4-hour
10 seconds?
interviews
Right.
with
Right.
aging rockers.
Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
Now they are pretty good interviews.
They call.
yeah.
They prank call people on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah, and
I don't know
they
if they still do that.
yeah they do.
Okay.
And then while they like husband and wife, while the wife or the husband is on hold and can hear the whole conversation, and then they bring them in at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, after they make them feel super uncomfortable.
That's awesome.
Classic prank calls. No, I mean, I wish. Mostly just friends, you know.
I think this would be a good day to test Josh's patience on a Monday. Your best prank call to a radio station.
But we are
951-1620.
we are going to be asking for calls at some point
Yeah.
during the show today
Oh, wow.
because I would like people to call in and tell me their experience at the Husker Games.
Like to know what happened down
Maybe
there.
Matt, you can.
We survived.
Yeah, I survived the
it
Husker
was,
Games.
It was let's just say when the mechanical horse got into the field, I started questioning what the hell we were doing.
Mm.
Okay.
Interesting.
If I'm
it
being-
wasn't like several weeks ago.
No, because the whole like, hey, we're gonna do football, and also the Husker garage sale, which
Didn't sound like it went very well.
wasn't a complete dud, but definitely wasn't the most successful.
I gotta see these
experience.
pants. That,
Right
oh,
here?
you're wearing them right
Right
now.
now, of course.
Yeah,
I did.
Matt texted me on Saturday. He's like, I'm pretty excited about these sweatpants.
I'll show you. I'll bring in the shorts tomorrow. Here's full transparency though. These nice Stan Smith Recons that I bought for $25, which are a whole size too big, but I still bought them because they're sick. I left them in Lincoln, so
Where?
in my buddy's house. Like I stayed over the night and I completely left them. So
Wow.
I don't think you'll see me walking around in them for a couple of weeks. Unfortunately,
This shows you the football that was being played. So, mutual friend of ours, we spent a good, 10 minutes talking about our fantasy baseball teams,
It sounds
Not-
like Schaefer.
not paying much attention to what was going on.
Uh-huh.
Then there was another media member next to me who was getting very agitated because they were not keeping up with the score on the points they were giving for the competition.
Oh,
And I'm like,
who would
our
that have
view,
been?
our view of what is
come
going
on.
on is
Michael?
completely different.
probably I wasn't there, but if I had
Michael
to guess.
Severe.
No, like I think Severe would be somebody though that was disappointed on.
He
On
loves
Saturday.
football.
And
yeah.
it wasn't.
It wasn't football at all. It was
Well,
zero football.
They had to rush through the football to get to the next competition.
Yeah, there was no football. At least we have our priorities straight now.
Hey,
You get
Oh,
people to show
there
up
was-
if it's
there were
football.
a
If it's
couple
a
of
foot, if
Now,
it's a
now
carnival,
I do have an
nobody's showing up.
observation about the football. That the defensive backs, and there were a lot of walk-on defensive backs, when they're wearing the Guardian caps, they look so small.
Tiny baby boys.
Yeah.
They look tiny.
Tiny
Makes
baby
your
boys,
head
just
look huge.
We got to the bottom of it eventually with the Colorado players. Because remember, we looked up all their sizes and they were normal.
Mhm.
But we saw those videos and we're like, whoa, this team is tiny.
I have helped a defensive back or two in the College of Journalism who didn't understand what some of the applications were.
Journalism?
He's a starter.
And I walked in and I go, "Whoa, I'm bigger than you." Like I was.
He's
Yeah.
pretty good size.
No, I was
weird thing
bigger
to
than
say.
him. I was straight
Whoa,
up.
I'm bigger than
No,
you.
He's
no,
a
no.
multi-year starter. Are we talking about the same person?
Malcolm
Uh,
Hartzog. I'm so good at this
Yes,
game.
yes.
I'm so good
Wow.
at this game.
I walked.
I mean,
right-
of course you are.
I walked
He's
up.
short.
No, but I was taken aback. I was like, I actually felt bad about.
What do you think? Like
myself.
Malcolm's like 6'3"?
Yeah.
No, I knew
He's
he
like,
was-
I think he's
I
5'11".
Would you have been surprised
listen,
if
wait.
would you have been surprised if you walked up if you ran up next to Mojo Hagee?
We're
We're
we're talking
Whoa,
about.
you're small.
We're
Hey,
talking about.
Side
a
note,
starter.
time out real quick. I did not realize that name is everywhere in Gretna.
Everyone loves Mojo. Well, Mike.
Wait, are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the
but-
former
yeah.
platoon?
but there
like,
are-
right fielder for
yeah,
Nebraska.
the guy who
baseball?
got into
No, not a
arguments-
platooner. He
Yeah.
was an important guy.
And hitting lead off.
There are so many Haggies in Gretna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not all related to Mojo and that family, but they're like
well, they
everywhere.
kind of are.
They're all in the
yeah.
baseball community.
Yeah.
Like they have a field named after.
Correct, because Mike Hags has the little facility out there with a couple mounds and batting tunnels
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, oh yeah, Gretna, big. Watch out.
So, but still, I squared up, and I was like, he is a D1 football Big Ten starter, and I looked at him and I go, I am exponentially bigger than
Yeah,
you.
then
Like
what?
no one.
Then
it's
what?
not
You tried
like
to run
me.
the 40
Did you
against
say
him.
the same thing to Sue when you saw him walking
No.
through the facility?
No, but I saw one other guy where I was like, thought he'd be bigger.
You know when that ball went straight through his hands in the end zone against USC last year? You wouldn't have even been in position to make that play.
I would have been.
You would have been nowhere near.
if
You
I
would have
was-
been lost.
If I was playing in that football game, I probably would have been on a cart into the locker room before that
exactly.
we even got there. I'm not questioning the guy's speed or his technique or his hands or his feet
I'm
or
questioning his
anything like
hands.
that. I'm not questioning it. I'm just.
I don't know. We haven't been the same since
Hey,
our freshman.
you
year.
gotta
just
catch
saying,
that
I
ball.
Been on the
squared him
roller
up.
coaster.
I squared him up, and I was a little concerned that I was like, you could look and be like, no, Matt is bigger than this guy.
You got to catch that ball in the end zone.
Put some respect on people like Ja'Cory Barney, who's a little fella.
There you go. He was
Um,
running.
So the thing about the garage sale, and we got, Matt was there, and
Yeah.
I have, we had many people that
They
gave
were
accounts.
actually low prices.
I have
Yeah.
seen
It was
a lot
incredible.
of items on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Do you want a John Cook bobblehead?
Facebook. Who could have predicted this,
Hey,
Josh?
Hey, shout out to this one dad. He was really, really smart. His kids were much smaller, but they were all walking out with 3 pairs of shoes that were a men's 7, a men's 8, and a men's 9. That dad took the opportunity
grow
to
into 'em, kid.
realize we're going to stock up on $25 shoes now. So 4 years, we'll just pull these suckers out
guy.
and we'll put these shoes on. These will be your shoes in 4 years. I thought these kids were walking out with like 4 pairs of shoes. I go, that guy's a genius.
So when people go to the Masters and they buy stuff for everyone they know, the good
Why are
thing.
you looking at me?
I'm just saying. I know. I'm just.
That was
looking.
a targeted.
I'm just
That was a
saying.
targeted sentence.
There's no.
I
That
don't ever
was-
get to go there. And I
wow.
know people that go, so I asked for
that's
a
fine.
hat.
You were
Because
you were the
listen,
king of passive aggressive.
There
That was
is
aggressive.
no downside to that because the Masters doesn't run out of stuff.
Yes.
The the Masters doesn't run out of stuff. This is like a once every 15
The-
years thing, and they run out.
The Masters they don't say, "Hey, we'll give you the green hat and
Yeah.
you can embroider it later, so you
There's-
can make it look like an official item."
There is not an item limit to what you buy at the Masters. There should have been at the Husker
They
Games.
were. I was telling Gary, and he didn't. He was startled. Multiple people with wagons.
Like I could see garbage bags, but the wagon?
Wow.
that brought
I would
in,
stop them at the door.
like
That's
picnic,
bold.
Yeah, no wagons.
like
Yeah.
picnic wagons, like
That's
a wagon you
like
would
the
use,
red, the red,
yes,
yeah.
to pack the towels and the meat and whatever. Full and like this guy was stacked up with like jerseys and pictures. I'm like, there is no way
It's amazing.
that you're gonna hang all of that up
It's amazing.
and you're gonna wear all that clothing.
No, they're gonna sell it.
There is so this always comes up whenever there's activity by the Hawks Championship Center, is the Rock.
The Pound the Rock.
Do you think that Nebraska athletics missed out on an opportunity to sell the Rock? Now it would take many men to lift it
Forklift. They did
and
a
bring it
forklift.
inside.
Mhm.
That's how
But-
they got it out the last time because remember it was on the concourse in Lower North Stadium
Yes.
for a long time, and then I think it was
What are we talking about?
so the Pound the Rock, the Bill Callahan
Bill
Pound
Callahan,
the Rock.
pound the rock.
Okay.
Bill Callahan found a rock, and he said, "We're going to pound the rock," and then he put a plaque on it that said "Pound the Rock."
Okay.
And
You can
that's that-
still see one of
yeah.
the screws where it was screwed into the rock.
So you can see, and that the plaque has been removed, and it resumed its time
Of being a
being
regular
a
rock.
normal rock.
Okay.
it's outside
I-
outside the entrance to
I
the
think-
Hawks Championship Center.
I think they did that during the Riley era.
Yes.
And so they moved it out there, but you could see where the plaque used to be because it's discolored and it's moved a couple times. I was
Yeah.
worried about the status of the Pound the Rock when they built the new facility, but I believe it is still out there.
It is. So
Yes,
it
I've
is
seen-
because
yes.
you can tell where the plaque, because it's not as it's lightly colored,
Correct.
but you can see the screw hole.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
That is
I think
so
they should
dumb.
have sold it
They should have
because-
sold it for 50
because somebody
bucks.
would buy it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
here's
for
the other
50.
thing.
You're responsible for your own transportation.
If you really want to test if a Husker fan is a true Husker fan or not, you walk them by that rock and just stand there. And if they immediately know that's the Bill Callahan rock, they are a Husker
Yeah.
for life.
Does this mean anything to you?
Other than, oh, look at that landscaping is nice.
What is
Because everybody that walks by it will inevitably stop
There
or
it
say,
is.
hey, that's the Bill Callahan
That's
rock.
the one.
Rock.
Nowadays,
is
it's,
that like a girlfriend test? Like if you want
well-
like you just bring your girlfriend to the Pound the Rock
I
and
think
be
this
like,
story
"Hey, do you
has
know?"
become more now any rock could be a pound the rock
Yeah.
rock.
Can you
But
imagine?
only that. But that rock is.
But that is the only one.
Can you imagine, like, she walks by the rock and she points it out? Hey, that's the pound
Go
the rock.
to,
You're like, oh, somebody cooked here.
The world's foremost pound the rock rock correspondent has been Michael Bruntz over the years.
he had a big day when they moved it. I think he
yes.
took off work.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So let me go to some Bruntz tweets from back in the day. Pound.
I love
the
that
rock.
the Kevin Suits clip with Cole from 10-11 where he goes, Michael Bruntz? And the anchor goes, nope. That was a great clip.
So, okay, look, here's a Baz tweet from 2018. You can see there, Matt, where the discoloration that looks like they have tried to sand over it with the pound the rock rock. There is definitely been an update since
I'll
then.
tell you something right now. I have because I wasn't here during the time. I did a lot of studying and talking and researching about the Bill Callahan era and whatnot. And
Pound the rock never came up.
It never came up. Nobody ever
Interesting.
told me about the pound the
It's
rock.
his
rock.
greatest contribution to the tunnel walk.
Wow.
You don't know ball.
I don't know. I
You
did
don't
not
know
know
ball.
about the pound the rock.
There it is, just hiding in those bushes.
I know that the cupboards were full.
And so imagine 5,000 people who were going to the stupid garage sale, made their way right by the pound the rock rock. How many dads told their kids, son, I had to live through this?
Dad, why is that rock? Why is there a little white circle on it? Why isn't it the same color?
This rock.
But do you think
There should be
okay,
a documentary.
so-
This
so
rock is
now
an
I'm
important
thinking,
piece in
What if
Husker history.
what if I told you that a rock changed the landscape?
we have all the curses? So you bring back Solich, right?
Uh-huh.
You think done.
He didn't murder Lil Red though.
Well,
in
they
cold
bring back
blood.
the old Herbie, and
That's
and,
right.
and you weren't there. You were doing the Creighton game. But I'm here to tell you, I think the current Herbie has gotten worse. Seeing it prance around the field during the game looked awful.
Oh.
But it did have some. I think then they changed the person that was in it because they went and danced with the Scarlets.
New person.
Yeah.
New person in her.
But
new
unfortunately,
Herbie.
Yeah.
they got to wear that god awful commercial outfit.
Is that a corn in your back pocket? You're just happy to see. That's
Apparently, the former Herbie one time nearly passed out because
it's a lot of Herbie.
it got really, really hot.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's a fan in there, and the fan stopped working or
Oh.
something went wrong with the costume. I forget. It was a late night.
Dan, I would pay
And
money
Noah's
to go
passed
to go directly to 1890 if I could drop the Herbie off the back of the North Stadium.
So that okay.
What do
They
you-
should put
why
that
do
in
you-
the.
Why don't you
The
like?
thing
he
is,
wants to
the
murder
thing
Herbie
looks
in cold
awful.
blood.
You might
So
be
the
the
thing
only
looks
one
awful.
who doesn't like the new
The
Herbie.
current Herbie looks dumpy.
Well,
Why do you? It
I
doesn't
don't
matter.
know.
It
It's
looks
just a
dumpy.
mascot.
Is he better? Is he worse than the
The hot Herbie? Did you like hot Herbie
yeah,
better?
like kind of
Hot
Metro
Herbie was better, but this one is an abomination.
But
Okay,
he's supposed to be kind of an abomination.
They
He's
had
supposed
this
to be a little
perfect
bit
mascot
huskier.
named Little Red, and they
No,
phased
that-
him
that-
out.
no.
They phased him out
Stop.
to bring in
No
this
more.
just terrible looking. The eyes are like
First of all, Lil Red is not phased out. Lil Red is still very prominent.
You know why?
Unfortunately.
Because he's
Little
only
Red
Little
is-
Red is only around the sports that do well. Volleyball, women's sports.
That's not true.
When
Lil Red
if
He's
he was
around every sport.
No,
He's
women's
there during
sports he's everywhere.
basketball. What
Little
are you
kid, if
talking-
there's little
He's
kids
there
there,
for
Little Red there.
football.
Football, they throw him in the corner. They're like,
No, they
you-
put
you
him in
can't
the
go in
middle
the
of
end
the
zone.
field during Husker Power.
There's
He's-
Lil Red. He's hopping
why
around.
can't he be on the t-shirt cannon at the end of the first quarter?
This is Little Red during the pregame. It goes Husker, and he goes like that.
He's jumping
And
up
then
and
they
down
go-
on his head.
and then they go Power, and he goes
See,
like that.
that's why
in the
he
middle
is,
of the field.
he is the best mascot that Nebraska has.
That is
No.
a awful thing.
No, Lil Red is actually bad.
Little Red, how many championships has Little Red won? Little Red,
So he rolled out in what, 97, right?
95.
Oh, 95.
Yeah, for volleyball.
Mm.
We need to
Okay,
get-
so he's got a couple.
We need to get the superstars up and moving.
So, yes, you want
But-
to murder New Herbie.
Yes. Okay. So we have had traditions of curses that you bring back Solich, you bring back the old Herbie. Nothing's worked.
This
Maybe
is the old Herbie.
I don't know
This
what.
No.
This is
No.
already the old Herbie.
This is the dumpy looking, bad constructed Herbie. And I feel bad for the kids that
Coming
have to
from
be in it.
You like the great
I-
baseball uniforms.
I used to be on the committee that selected the mascots, and the spring game was the day we do it because they each got a quarter.
sure.
I feel bad for if you have to put on that costume.
I just
But-
think I think farmers wear blue jeans. And Herbie has black jeans. What's up with that? Have you ever seen a farmer with black jeans?
Hey, you're looking at the Chicago City suburban kid about whether or not I've seen farmers.
Have you ever seen a farmer with black jeans?
I've never really seen a farmer.
All right.
Exactly. Never seen a farmer with black jeans.
This idea has popped in my head. All these curses that you think, okay, if we bring back Solich, if we bring back Herbie, whatever else we do, we're going to be fine. What if the whole time the magic of bringing back Nebraska football is sitting right outside the stadium now as landscape?
Yeah.
Do you think that at some point this summer,
no,
we should just blow, like Harry Carey's restaurant blew up the Bartman Ball?
Yeah.
Do you think that we should blow up the Bill Callahan Rock? You think about it.
Oh no, I don't want to blow it up.
Since the Bill Callahan Rock has been here,
how much?
No, I think you choose to showcase it more prominentely.
How much?
I think you put that thing right in there.
How much does it weigh?
It's a gigantic boulder.
So there couldn't be a recon to
they're not
steal set.
You would need
saying,
a forklift.
Dylan Parrott, can you go over there and pick that up?
And you might not even get it with the forklift. You might tip over.
It's that heavy.
Oh, it's a big.
When they moved it out of the stadium, when they moved it out of the stadium to its current resting place, they had it was a massive forklift.
Yeah. What would the reaction be
if they blew it up?
If
they'd be like, you know what? 9-3, maybe 10-2 this fall.
Hey guys, the real problem with our football team hasn't been able to make plays in the clutch. It hasn't, been not being able to develop recruits. The problem hasn't been the shifting geological change of high school talent. The problem is that there's this rock.
It's a curse.
And that's why
you won't know until you blow it up, right?
That's right.
And then what happens if they win 10 games?
Maybe that's what they were doing with the garage sale. They were trying to purge themselves of all of the gear and all the things.
There's a lot of Kevin Cosgrove gear here.
There's this, I don't know, man. I'm a little upset at the garage sale. I am.
I would have been mad if I were you too. That's why I suggested that you not go.
I literally got there 20 minutes before it opened.
I love that you thought that was enough time.
Okay.
It's adorable.
No. Here's the thing.
You don't know these people, Matt. You don't know these people.
You're not a Nebraskan.
Time out.
Us Nebraskans get there early.
People were like,
farmers wear black pants to formals. That's from there.
Yes.
People were like, that was a rookie mistake. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were in the professionals. Okay. I didn't know that I had to be a pro collector for this event. I thought it was just a nice, hey guys, we're selling things in the athletic department to get you to come to this event and buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Knock yourselves out.
That's really adorable that you thought that's what that was.
Damn me, I guess, for trying to keep the spirit of the event.
An honest.
We talked about the sweats.
I didn't think there would be that many sweats.
Everyone's a sweat when it comes to Nebraska.
I didn't think that 20 minutes before the doors open, I was going to be lined up at I was literally at the light. I was at the light at Salt Creek.
That's a long
at 14th.
Long line.
It was at 14th at Salt Creek.
I know.
Just so many sweats.
Yeah, but
I love that you thought it would be a bunch of hemming and hawing and aw shucks.
Oh, I'll go to the garage sale.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Thank you, Goofy.
Absolutely not.
Thank you, Goofy.
There's never been a garage sale like that at Nebraska.
The truth is, though, I was going to leave at 7 o'clock to get in line at 8. Okay, that was the original plan. And I thought, hey, I'm Matt McMaster. I wake up at 4 o'clock every day. I should just naturally wake up at like 5 or 6. It shouldn't be a problem. So I did not set an alarm. I woke up at 7:20. So that's why I was late. I thought that my body clock was going to do me well.
I'm just saying, I don't know why you went.
I'm just going to be honest, man. These are nice sweatpants. Only $10.
Was it worth it?
Feel it. How
I don't want to
comfy
touch
these
your
are.
pants.
Who do you think wore these
man's
pants?
pants.
Who do you think wore these pants before?
Mike Riley.
Did you say it doesn't have a Nebraska logo on it?
No Nebraska logo on it. It's just straight Adidas. It's like no one would ever know I bought it from the garage sale.
Mike loves sweatpants. Maybe Bob Diaco.
You think Doc Sadler was walking around?
Don't they put their name in the waistband?
Yeah, check the tag.
Okay. Maybe after the show in private.
Check the tag. That's not a specific team issued.
I think you just bought an Adidas. You could have gone to an outlet mall. You could have gone to Gretna and bought those pair of pants.
Yeah. Caught a hockey game.
Professional volleyball.
No,
trained for some volleyball.
No official. And you're right, because I do have official NFL gear with some disgraced defensive coordinator's name on it and a former Nebraska DB coach. I do not. There's no title here. Hey, you guys would make fun of me for not getting a team issued sweatpant. It was only $10. These suckers would be 45 to 50 at your local Target.
But you have to stand in line and hang out with all those people.
Well, I did also get a pair of shorts that said "Celebrating Black Heritage," and it was a basketball. It was a basketball issued team shorts.
What does it say that on the ass? What?
It says it on the right on the knee.
Oh,
on the
okay.
part.
It said like juicy.
Yeah. No.
Celebrating
Celebrating Black Heritage.
Why didn't you get the jersey top that goes with it?
Because it wasn't there. It was sold out. The last thing that was remaining in a large.
I think you should be forced to buy the whole jersey,
no,
not just the top.
The top wasn't there. It was only the shorts. The only thing that was remaining on a large as a top was a Nebraska swimming and diving T-shirt that I really didn't care to buy.
Come on.
And all of these like sleeveless Adidas football like workout shirts that like were already pre-cutoffs that I would look like a puny piece of crap in. So I did not buy those.
So you came away with one sweatpants and one Black History Month shorts
and a pair of Stan Smiths,
and a pair of Stan Smiths,
which got a shout out in Steve Sipple's article about the Husker garage sale.
Oh, really?
Look, read the first line.
All right, let's go.
Of Stephen M. Sipple's
His Sunday column.
Go to Sunday column.
The Dannon likes the energy he saw
Yes.
at Husker
Yes.
Games. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Hang on.
Imagine being forced to write a column about the Husker Games.
Yeah, tough. Well, I just searched your name, McMaster, and it didn't show up on.
No,
here.
it says no. I said the Stan Smiths.
Oh, he didn't shout you
He
out
said 3,000
specifically.
people materialized for the surplus sale at Hawks Championship Center. Fans and others purchased everything from comfy leather chairs to handsome Adidas Stan Smith shoes
Handsome.
to baseball gloves. Now, why didn't you? You ought to text him and say, "Who got those?"
I did. I told him.
Yeah, I know.
I
but
told him. He goes. What'd you get at the sale? I
You
go,
got-
look, I walked away with these Stan Smiths.
you got to get a simple column shout. That doesn't count.
Apparently, that's been on his mind. He was just thinking about my Stan Smith shoes.
Yeah. Ask him a question on the radio. He'll be like, I think I'm going to write a column about that.
The best part of that,
I'll give you a shout out. He
the be-
never gives you a shout
the
out.
best part of that line was that I think those were the only Stan Smiths that were in the entire garage sale
I
that were
would
purchased.
imagine
It
so.
was the only blue box.
I didn't know Stan Smith was an offshoot of Adidas.
I literally think it was an assistant coach's like favorite shoe to wear, and that's what they ordered.
Is it
ordered
is it under the Adidas brand?
Yeah,
So they're not wearing Yeezys anymore?
no, I think that
I think Tim Miles was the last to wear that.
I don't know. Maybe I think I got shoes from a former assistant coach of Nebraska. Maybe I got Tim Miles' shoes because he wearing 11 and a half.
Seems to be a little bit larger.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something never come up with Coach Miles.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Miles.
Should we tweet him?
Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach.
But
Matt
where
McMaster.
would they have gotten those? Like when he exited his office, they went in there and
Yeah.
they just kept them.
Well, I mean, it was pretty quick.
I think I bought Tim Miles' shoes.
That's a good story. Just
Yeah.
like to pound
Mhm.
the rock and all this stuff.
John
Just like-
Voights LeBaron, Tim
Yeah.
Miles is Stan
Yes.
Smith.
Hey, I once met somebody that bought Lyle Bremser's old car. They thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Nice.
I thought you
And
were
they-
going to say,
they
I
did-
met somebody who bought OJ's Bronco.
Somebody actually did.
I think they tried to sell that on Pawn Stars. Seriously, I saw an episode of Pawn Stars, and the guy Rick is like, "No way."
Yeah. Rick put it through. He's like, well, we got to put it through
This
the
is really
processor to
this
see
is
if
really the car. This is really the car.
How long did
I got a guy.
how long did Soph last yesterday?
Oh, they were out of there before the third inning started. So they come up and they take pictures, and then they're like, "All right, see ya." Which,
Oh, really? It was just picture day.
well, I mean, you know,
I thought she called the game.
I called the game.
I thought she was.
Connor called the middle innings.
Yeah. It would have been kind of interesting if she would have called the game.
Yeah.
You had
that's
to put
what
a
I thought.
camera on her.
I thought she was your. I
She's
thought she
not-
was your color commentator.
She's not very verbal at the moment. She can wave a little bit.
Okay.
She'd
Oh,
probably
that's
be
all you need.
waving the
That's
entire
fine.
broadcast.
Do we know ball? Have we mentioned ball?
Ba, maybe.
Okay, that's close.
Yeah.
I think she's probably referring to book mostly when she says that.
Or
but
sheep. Maybe she wants to be a sheep.
Ba.
Bah.
Wants to be a sheep.
Kevin.
Yeah, that's what ba
Nick Ba.
Maybe she likes Nick.
How's her jumper?
Dude, my jumper is going to be so much better when I put these shorts
I'd say
on.
it probably goes something like splash.
Do you think I got the
Where is it? Where is it on here? Is there a
I
splash?
took a lot of the Nick Baugh drops off of
Why?
there. I don't know.
We need them. We need them back. All right, that's not there.
I'm hoping that these shorts are like the Mike shoes, you know?
And they turn you into an old assistant coach.
No, not the Stan Smiths. No. I'm talking about my shorts. I hope when I put the shorts on, it like turns me into Petaway or something, you know? Or I like
How many people playing noon ball today that were at the garage sale are actually wearing the gear?
I would be.
Do you know
That's
how-
all I'd be
do you know
doing.
And
funny it
you bought a whole set of a uniform, and you're out there and you're like, oh man, hey, thanks for supporting the cause.
Yeah.
do you know how funny it would be if I was playing like pickup in Lincoln and someone else had the celebrating
Whoa!
Black Heritage shorts?
No way. Where'd you get that? The Husker
my God.
garage sale.
There's
Somebody
only 15 of these.
Somebody told a story way back in the day that Henry T. Buchanan, who I think you know, actually had one of his old uniforms and would go to the Y in downtown Lincoln to play noon ball, and he was dressed as Henry T.
Amazing.
Buchanan.
Amazing. He's like, oh, you know Henry
Wait,
T. I am Henry T. Buchanan.
That's quite the flex to wear your own uniform to go play pickup
That's
basketball.
Hey,
awesome.
there's one guy who's back for Alumni Day every year. Henry T. Buchanan.
Do you think Jacob, you'll have to ask him when he's on later this week, does Jacob wear a uniform when he goes to play pickup?
Padilla?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You think he just goes shorts and a t-shirt?
Probably.
You don't think at some point he's like slipped on the uniform and he's out there running the floor as Mitch Ballack?
I don't know. Jacob seems like a guy who knows his role, you know? Probably doesn't have to take 12 shots to be
Doesn't step
effective.
inside of the 3-point line.
I'm trying to see
I know
if,
I wouldn't be.
if my basketball shorts are on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, I'm sure they are. You can get them for $80. All right. While you do that, you can do that on your
The
own time.
crossover's over. It's
See you guys.
Have fun with Shedeur.
That
Guess you could talk about him?
Yeah, I think we probably will. Today,
Oh, wow.
a little
Hot take.
bit. That's the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Monday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
Splash.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. It's Monday here on the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. You take a step outside right now on your balconies or on your lanais or
Oh, wow.
yeah, we live in the high life here in Omaha.
Great vocab words.
Take a step out. You will smell storms. They're a brewing.
Yeah.
You just feel it. It's all around you. Everything's a little.
Like my steering wheel this morning.
Yeah.
I park outside.
Why is it wet?
Why is it sticky?
Why is it sticky? That's me right now.
Why?
I don't know. That's just how it is outside. But it feels like summer. It feels like we're getting ready for a long day at the College World Series or something like that. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Welcome to the show. We have plenty to talk about. The NFL draft happened. Somebody eventually got drafted.
Oh, lots of people got drafted, Connor.
Lots of people got drafted, but man, what it was like a hornet's nest for about 24, 48 hours there for one particular guy. The only thing anyone could talk about. Just imagine if the NFL draft started on Tuesday and ended on Thursday or something like that.
Oh my
Tuesday,
gosh.
Tuesday and Wednesday, and then into Thursday would have been the worst 2 days
bad
of Shedeur
shows.
Sanders' life.
Yeah.
So it happened over the weekend. So there wasn't a whole lot of, now we have the full, okay, he's been drafted, but we still, and by the way, this will double as, we'll talk about this today. This will double as Culture War of the Week.
Hard to guess one surpassing it.
Pretty obvious.
We're ready to rule.
Culture War of the Week is already, the belt is Shedeur Sanders at this point. The Husker Games are over the weekend. They did an equipment sale, and a lot of the stuff's already on Facebook Marketplace, so you can check it out about 400% if you'd like that. A couple of Huskers got drafted. One of them before Shedeur Sanders. Creighton got another basketball player. Creighton won more baseball games. Nebraska won some baseball games.
They did.
There was a lot that happened over the weekend, Josh.
They scored 21 points yesterday.
21 points?
Well, runs.
Is that what we're calling it?
No, that's not what we're calling it.
All right.
The football team didn't do that in every game.
I don't know what the football team did. Did they have points yesterday, or were they just throwing it? So one of the responsibilities that I want you all to take to heart today, I wasn't at the Husker. I didn't have the great pleasure of being at the Husker Games on Saturday. So, like Dan Patrick does his best as the best and worst of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Call in and just, if you were there, tell me about your experience. Text in, email in, things like that. Tell me about your experience. I want to see it from you, because obviously there wasn't anything from the football perspective that we can really take away. But the media caught some punts. Controversially,
literally the only thing I saw was one Sean Callahan miss and one Sean Callahan make.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing I saw.
Theo writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Theo.
Don't forget the Belichick interview. I've been seeing clips.
I got that. Don't worry.
Okay, so is that going to be an odd news situation?
That is. You can tune into that at 11:45.
So she jumped in and was like, "We're not talking about this."
We're not talking about that.
Woof.
I'm sorry. It's the most generic question anyone could have asked you. How did you two meet?
Platcat writes in.
Hi, Platcat.
Josh being excluded from the mayoral debate was the biggest snub of the weekend.
I didn't want to talk about it, but since you bring it up, yes, I, a legitimate mayoral vote-getting candidate, was not asked to participate in yesterday's Channel 7 mayoral debate.
It's interesting, and there was only 2 candidates at this?
Only 2 candidates there, and I was not one of them. I mean, I equal ratings. I think that's pretty clear.
A lot of experience to show that.
The establishment doesn't want you, the citizens of Omaha, to succeed. It's pretty simple statement was made yesterday.
Ouch. Yeah, Baymon says they were clearly scared.
Yep. Scared I'm going to say something.
Scared of what Josh might say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm scared of what Josh might say on this 4-hour radio show every day. He might say something.
I might.
Who knows? Josh is always trying to save me. And sometimes I got to save Josh, but
Right.
I can't. I can't rope him in like
I'm a
John
loose
Cook's
cannon.
roping show of the thing. I can't do that. He's a wild calf.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is. So yeah, you can't invite that guy to the mayoral debate. It just will end up bad for everyone. Mike Schaefer is going to join the show in less than an hour. We'll talk about the Husker Games and his fantasy baseball team with him. Sam McEwen coming up at 1. That's the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you all today on the show, 402-951-1620 on the hotline. You can call or text that number. Please feel free to call in. Tell me about your experience at the Husker Games if you went. I've heard some stories already. Did it go well? Did you like it? Would you prefer this to a regular spring game? Is Matt Rule on to something? Or is it the exact opposite of
How was the volleyball?
How was the volleyball? There was some good volleyball. I saw that one Andy Jackson back row swing about 40 times.
Boom!
That was a big one. Good stuff there. There was also some volleyball downtown this weekend and some baseball downtown over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, call in, tell us what you enjoyed, what you did not over the last couple of days. Where'd we leave off? The J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed, Happer Show at Connor Happer. There, email the Equitable Bank inbox, Connor Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today.
Got a comment in there from Matthew.
Yeah, put that up there, Josh. Go ahead.
My wife and I took out our soon-to-be 2-year-old daughter with us to the Husker Games. It was plain and simple the best family-friendly atmosphere I have ever had at a Husker event. Absolutely loved it from that perspective. Well, all right.
You didn't have to deal with 60,000 people or 80,000 people or 90,000 people. It's true that a lot of Husker events end up being not very family friendly because of the demand for the, to go to these things. So
and the alcohol.
Well, of course, the alcohol makes it a worse experience for everybody. But there's a very high demand for Husker tickets of basically everything. And so if you want to just go walk around, enjoy your day, and have some free reign, let the kids run around in the stadium a little bit in the stands, you were free to do so. Well, I guess you had to pay a little bit, but you were generally free to do so on Saturday at a reasonable price. So that's a good opinion in right away. Thanks for being with us here on a Monday. We will take a quick break, come back, and start things off on the other side. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, the host point is good. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
13340 California, Omaha. CordellCordell.com.
I want to give a shout out to our dear friend and cohort, John Bishop, who we missed on Creighton baseball broadcasts both Saturday and Sunday. He's okay, but he's not doing very well. I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna wait. We'll have to wait one more day, maybe, to let. I don't think he's gonna be on the show this afternoon either, but he'll be back soon. And we'll see how he wants to. Has he done a tweet or anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
His story to tell.
I think it's his story to tell.
But it is a story.
It is a story. He mentioned how on one of the days over the weekend that it was a bad weekend for him. And we missed him on the Creighton baseball broadcast. Luckily, we only have one more Creighton baseball broadcast tomorrow before we're off for Creighton still plays, but the broadcasts are off for about a week and a half until the Xavier series. So maybe we'll get John back by the end of that. John's okay.
Plenty of time to get right.
John's okay, but yeah, he's gonna have. He's I don't know how to describe it. He's going to probably be mad for a long period of time, and then he will be made fun of a lot once he gets over that part of it by his coworkers.
Which can we talk about first? That Ryan Kalkbrenner thing or the John Bishop thing?
I snuck in the Ryan Kalkbrenner thing several weeks ago.
Okay.
Remember, you got kicked in the balls.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking about the John thing yet. Not until John says it whichever way he wants to say it.
Okay.
But I can imagine that John Bishop is frustrated, angry at himself, and he will be okay, but it will be it's going to take some time for him to recover. I make it sound worse than it is.
It's silly.
It's silly, but it's kind of bad, but it's fine. I don't know how else to describe it without saying what it is. But I'm going to let him tell you. Chance writes in, what happened to John? What happened to John? What happened to John? Will we get John's story or the Caitlin Clark story first? Interesting question.
Probably John's story.
Probably John's story would be my guess. So we missed him the last couple of days, and we'll miss him probably today on Unsportsmanlike Conduct, but he'll be back shortly to tell his story. Josh, the Husker Games.
The Husker Games.
We got another comment from Jeff on YouTube.
Hi, Jeff.
Took my 2-year-old son. He was more excited about the tractors on the field than anything else. Interesting. Then we got a couple more opinions from the Equitable Bank inbox. Colin writes in,
hi, Colin.
I don't have an opinion. It's not Wednesday, so therefore I don't have any opinions. And then
that is selfish of us to ask you to work 2 days a week.
You're going to have to give us more opinions.
Yeah.
John emails in, the Husker game.
Bishop?
Nope. The Husker Games were exactly what Rule wants for this team and this fan base, not just in the spring. Essentially, please don't pay attention to the football being played in the field. Focus on everything else. I don't think that was their goal. I'll take that and I'll spin it a different direction, John. I think what the Husker Games showed people inside the athletic department and out is that if that people's priority at Nebraska is still the football, it's still the sports, right? And I think that's valuable. I think that's really valuable information, because what Nebraska did was, they at the last second they tried to get people to go and they had a big push for it, and they even said, "Hey, we are going to be playing a little bit of football. You could come to this." But generally, how it's set up was, it's going to be a carnival. Stop by if you want. If it's the right thing for you and your family, great. If not, we're not going to like push you for it. And then at the end, they pushed you for it, just a little bit. They want to get some people.
If you care
in the
about
building.
Husker football, you should be here.
Right. There was, by many estimations, like 6,000 to 8,000 people there. I was mocked, by the way, for predicting that there would be 7,000 people there, several weeks ago.
Like you were too high or too low?
Like too low. Come on, Husker
Oh.
fans, they're going to get 25.
No.
No, I'm like, I don't think so. Not for this. So it's a good lesson. You have a football game and people show up. You don't have a football game. You have a carnival. You have Dylan Raiola throwing a football into a basketball hoop, and you got, roping competitions and stuff like that. That's great, but that's not where people's priorities are. And I do think that's kind of unique. I think that's kind of unique compared to other places. I think if you do it at, if you have a carnival like thing and there's a whole bunch of access to the student athletes and a garage sale and stuff like that at Arizona or something like that, I think it's a really good opportunity for people to come out and be around the program for a little bit. But for Nebraska, you're going to get more people to show up when it's an actual football game. And not that it was a failure. It's not like, I don't know. They threw away the spring game thing, and it wasn't going to be that anymore. And they did what they did. I don't mind that the spring game is not there. I don't mind that the spring game is not there.
I didn't realize how much I needed that benchmark because I've never cared about the spring game, but I guess selfishly for what it is we do, boy, it would be nice to have something to talk about, but
I don't care.
That's no reason to hold the spring game.
No. I would rather not talk about the fake football that happened during the spring game, but at least it is football and people show up for that stuff. If you say, hey, we're going to get the scrimmage together and we're going to run ones on ones for a little while and we're going to play it, we're going to roll it out there and it's going to sound like a game and feel kind of like a game, people will show up because that's what people do. Mm-hmm. This was different. This was unique. And I don't think people really know what to do with it. There's a carnival. There are people running around in shorts, people, members of the media catching punts, things of that. Like that's not an attraction for Nebraska fans. They're here for the football, and that's okay. And now you know, right? Now you have the answer. So if your goal was to sell out the stadium, if your goal was to get as many people in there as possible, you now know what the variable is. It's football. It's pretty easy. If you say we're going to play Husker football today, and the starters will be wearing pads and they'll be doing it, like you're going to get, it's an automatic 30, 40, 50,000 people that you're going to get in that stadium. But, obviously I think Nebraska wanted people to go and they wanted to raise money for their athletic department, but I don't think it was probably about that for them. So what is it in the grand scheme of things? I don't know what they'll do with this going forward. Like I said, it feels like the spring game is gone and just whatever happens next is whatever happens next. I also don't know if that was the right application for it. And then we'll talk about the garage sale a little bit later on, which was predictable from about 10,000 yards away.
Unless you're Matt McMaster.
And you probably figured, I'll get there 20 minutes early and I'll probably just walk around and have a nice leisurely afternoon. A nice leisurely morning.
Maybe have a salesman walk me up and down the aisles.
Grab a couple pairs of sweatpants and where's the quarter zips, things like that. No, was not going to be like that. So we could have more on this, and you guys could tell us about your experience as we go on throughout the show today. But coming up next, we get into the story of the weekend.
Creighton baseball.
That's a good story, Josh, but not the story. 13 quarterbacks drafted into the NFL this weekend. Shedeur Sanders was the 6th. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Mike Schaefer will join us in about a half hour. Where will Marty Brown end up? He said this morning he's 50-50. 50-50.
Oh.
Nebraska versus Miami. I can remember some Nebraska-Miami games that were 50-50. Not the one in 2001. It was not 50-50.
That was not.
No.
They had our number that day.
But the NFL Draft was over the weekend. Josh is still happy to get Cam Ward, number one. He's somehow gone from, I think this guy's probably a bridge quarterback who's gone and a backup in 3 years, to he's the savior and he's a superstar.
You see, he didn't wear fancy chains, and his only interest is football.
I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that Shedeur Sanders did, he made the guys who got drafted in front of him look pretty good.
Yeah. That's something, right?
Because we talked about this on Friday, Josh. He did not go in the first round, nor did he go in the second or the third. Those two rounds took place on Friday night, and we were sort of watching it and paying attention. And so Cam Ward and Jackson Dart go in the first, and then Tyler Shuck went in the second round, and everybody thought that they were going to take Shedeur. New Orleans was going to take Shedeur there. 7-year quarterback Tyler Shuck went in the second round. And then the third round came around. It's almost ending. And I think Seattle's going to take a quarterback here. It's Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. Okay. All right. All right. Cleveland. They're definitely going to take a quarterback here. They did. Dylan Gabriel. Round 3.
That's a quarterback.
Pick number 30. And then finally, Cleveland took another quarterback. Round 5, pick 6. That is quarterback out of Colorado, Shedeur Sanders.
Totally normal.
It was a long wait in his custom-built room. And this has been quite the sports story over the weekend. This is obviously your culture war of the week. Many things have been said about Shedeur Sanders. In Josh's pre-show tweet today, he said that we were going to talk about Shedeur Sanders and the reaction to it and the reaction to it. Did you notice that?
But yes, that was on purpose.
The reaction to it and the reaction to it and the reaction to it. Yes, there was a lot of that. So,
this story is like an onion. It has layers.
Here's my thing. And what we said, like the basis of what we said on Friday was, I don't think you probably fall out of the first round because of non-football things, right? They probably just didn't have a great evaluation on him. But why do you go in the 5th round? And why do you go behind Tyler Shuck? My man's got drafted behind Tyler Shuck. I'm sorry.
A lot of people got drafted behind Tyler Shuck.
No. But specifically, he got drafted behind Tyler Shuck.
Uh-huh.
There's no doubt that Shedeur Sanders is a higher ceiling player than Tyler Shuck. There is no doubt in my mind. It's 100% objective. Same thing goes to Dylan Gabriel. I didn't think the guy was a first rounder, but oh my God, something went terribly wrong. And so all the stuff that we said of why he didn't get drafted in the first round on Friday, it flips when you have to wait until the 5th round. Because I figured that he was going to get picked up in the second, and it was going to be early in the second, and then we were just going to be on with it. And the story was, well, we just had a second round evaluation on him. We just didn't want to, jump back into the first and get him. We didn't want to trade draft capital to get him. And, we believe in him, but we just didn't feel like he was worth a first round pick. That is very reasonable from a football perspective.
Yes.
But you don't get drafted behind Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, and Dylan Gabriel, 2 rounds behind each of them at least, if if there wasn't something that went horribly, horribly wrong. This is an all-time interview screw up by Shedeur Sanders. And it's a good lesson to players of his caliber. First of all, understand your worth, know how good you are, don't overplay it for leverage. And if you are an average player, if you are not a first-round draft pick, you better be a damn good human. You better be a great person. You better treat your teammates well, and you better be an excellent leader on the football field. And it turned out that in the world where NFL teams generally had similar evaluations on Shedeur as they did Tyler Shuck and Jalen Milroe and Dylan Gabriel, that they chose those guys instead of Shedeur Sanders, who they felt like they had to wonder about in the leadership category, in the how you treat your teammates category, in the how you generally treat other people category. I don't think that Shedeur is going to be a problem when he walks into an NFL locker room. I really don't. I don't think it's an issue that way. But I think you don't want to give that guy the keys because of what you're not sure about from a personality standpoint. A lot of people brought up Deion and his whole impact on this, and man, people just don't want to deal with Deion. Like, it's an NFL team, you know? And clearly, when you're drafted in the 5th round, you have no leverage anymore to be like, hey, my kid's got to play or else we'll take him out of the NFL. Where are you going to put him? Who cares? Nobody cares if he's out of the NFL if he's drafted in the 5th round. You're just like the guy who was drafted in the 7th or undrafted.
I did question at a certain point on Saturday, do you think The Rock called Deion Sanders and said, we can make your kid the star of the UFL if you just say the word and it happens? You think that call took place Saturday?
I saw a lot of Canadian football tweets, and then I thought for a second, hang on, he could go do that. He could go be like, I don't know if he'd be the best dude in the CFL, but he'd be like the most notable player in the CFL. I wonder if that call took place. As we know, there were many calls that took place.
The phone was busy at the Sanders establishment.
I mean, I like, and so this has turned into a race thing.
America, you've lost the plot of what happened here.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not racist that he didn't get drafted until the 5th round. It is NFL teams saying you went 13-12. Your stats aren't what they need to be.
I disagree. I don't think it was about that. I think it was about the way that he handled the process leading up to the draft. I don't
his
think
dad saying there's only certain teams we're going to let go. Go to.
I think the reason that he didn't get drafted in the 1st round is the football.
Yes.
That's the football, right? The evaluation on him as a football player only is we don't think he's a 1st round quarterback. And I think that's very reasonable in my opinion. I mean, you look at that's where, Josh, you bring up the stats. I mean, you look at him compared to everybody else in the country. He doesn't stand out, right?
Right.
Cam Ward stands out from the last couple of years of what he's done. Jackson Dart is stood out. Those guys are not like terribly more than everybody else, but right, they stand out. Those were a couple of the best quarterbacks in the country that are ending up in the NFL draft. I don't think Shedeur really stands out that way. I think they viewed him the same as some of the quarterbacks that went in the 2nd round or in the 3rd round. Shuck, Milroe, Gabriel, Kyle McCord went in the 6th. Will Howard went in the 6th. Riley Leonard went in the 6th. Graham Mertz went in the 6th.
We'll run on QBs.
The North Dakota State quarterback, Cam Miller, went in the 6th.
We got to stop drafting North Dakota State quarterbacks, guys.
Why? One Trey Lance spoils the bunch for you? Yeah. He only played like 10 seconds at North Dakota State. What about Carson Wentz?
What about Carson?
Carson Wentz was awesome.
Until he wasn't.
And then he stopped being awesome.
And then Nick Foles won a Super Bowl for him.
Easton Stick.
That's worked out well for.
Yes. You got a good backup quarterback there. Curtis Rourke, He was roarking it.
Roarking
He went in
that
the
thing.
7th round in Quinn Ewers. Quinn, your boy Josh.
He said he was going to win the Heisman.
I think the grade on him from a football perspective was he looked like he was closer to those guys' range than he was the Ward and Dart range. That's the football part. The reason that he gets taken 3 rounds behind Tyler Shuck, sorry, once again, Tyler, but my God, the reason that he gets taken 3 rounds behind Tyler Shuck is because of the other stuff. Is because he didn't handle the pre-draft process like everybody else handles the pre-draft process. And then people try to do this like, hey, people can't handle personality. This is not about that. This is not about showmanship or anything like that. It's about how you treat people. It's about how you treat adults. It's about how you treat your bosses. And you walk into the meeting and you are not like, I think this is an appropriate like critique. If you're walking into a job interview, which is essentially what he's doing for 2 straight months as he gets done with his career at Colorado, and he talks to people and the backstory on him, and he walks into those meetings and we'll continue to hear stories from him, but the general consensus that you get from him is you guys suck as a franchise, or I don't have any respect for you, or he's, texting in the meeting, like whatever it might be, those little details. Just how would you walk into a job interview if you were trying to get a job? Not like that, not with that disposition. And that's why he got drafted where he got drafted. I really believe that. I don't think it was about anything else. I don't think it was ulterior motives. I don't think it was about Dion. I don't think it was about
collusion.
I don't think it was about him being black. I don't think like none of that stuff. I just think he fell short in those really important categories, and those categories become a lot more important when the player grade. The NFL has looked over a lot of crap over the years, Josh. A lot of crap. There's been a lot of bad dudes that were drafted in the NFL, and we're not talking about a bad dude. We're talking about a dude who needs an attitude adjustment.
Right.
And so, but think about some of those bad, like literally bad people.
Yeah.
Their talent was so overwhelmingly, important and they feel like they can use the talent so much and put them in a good position and all of that stuff to where the personality just it had to be looked over. When you're in the 5th to 7th round range of the NFL draft, that stuff just matters. Or second to hell, anything that's not the first round or the first 2 rounds.
Sometimes a malcontent is undeniable. Like, well, the talent, we got to deal with some stuff, some baggage, but his talent is undeniable. Shedeur was not that guy. And NFL GMs are not going to have you and your brother and his iPhone film crew if you're the 3rd string quarterback. Like, you're not worth that.
And they're certainly not going to hand you the keys.
Right.
They're certainly not going to hand you the keys. So I just think he has a really, I just think he has a really warped sense. I mean, how many times did I say, what do I always say about Colorado, Josh? Something about heads and butts.
Oh, yeah. Their heads are in their butts.
Their heads are so far up their own butts. This is a case of that. He didn't know what the opinions on him were, and he went into the meetings like he was going to get, a franchise handed to him. And instead, he goes into a Cleveland Browns locker room that has 100 quarterbacks, including one that was drafted before him in that very draft. And, he's no better than the 4th or 5th guy in that room. Like, I imagine that was an eye-opening moment for Shedeur, because I bet he thought going into it that he was, whatever team he went to, he was going to be. I mean, he even said it. I think his tweet after the draft was, I'm ready to go turn around this franchise, or he said something like that. Like, that's something that the 1st round draft pick says.
Yeah.
I'm ready to bring a championship back. Bro, you're not playing.
Yeah.
You're not going to play. You're not in a position right now to play. Nobody's giving you the keys to anything. You fall in that round in that 3rd to 7th, whatever it might be, in that range, you're expendable just like everybody else. And so you'll have to earn everything you'll get. You'll have to do extra. You'll have to make yourself valuable in ways that aren't playing on the field. And for a quarterback, that's just really hard. And he's not proven throughout his football playing career that he's willing to do any of that stuff. That's just my read on the situation. I don't know the guy well, but I know how he talks, and I know, and I know, how he's handled all of this stuff. And I guess you give credit to him, like, he does the tweets, and it's like, God is good, and he doesn't go crazy because the kid, the Falcons DC kid called him, or anything like that. Prank called him.
Yeah.
So credit him for handling handling this kind of ugly moment with a little bit of grace, but I don't think it had to be that way for him. I really don't. I think he was in control of that. And I just don't think he was aware of it because of head so far up the butt syndrome at Colorado. Now that part is Deion's fault. That part is Deion's fault.
You got to have one guy in your camp that is I'm going to tell you the thing you don't want to hear guy. And clearly Shedeur does not have that.
No.
It was
if he did, it was like, see ya.
You're number 1 on Mel's board. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well,
by the way,
he probably was.
Mel, I don't know if Mel is surviving this.
Josh.
He says he does not want to retire, but boy, they might have to put him somewhere else.
I mean, like,
rough look.
ESPN probably likes it, right?
I mean, I guess we were talking about Mel Kiper all weekend,
and
that's really all ESPN cares about.
I bet ESPN probably likes how wrong he was. Or how wrong he's going to be.
Made the draft watchable on Saturday, right? Whereas it would have been white noise, I guess.
It was insufferable. So while I get what you're saying, like you now have lost a lot of credibility with people that you care about, or that people who watch you, I don't think that really matters on TV these days anymore. It's kind of
that's true. I mean, this was the guy that said he'd quit evaluating football if Jimmy Clausen wasn't an NFL Hall of Famer or something like that.
Yeah. I just got a message. I'm probably in the minority, but I think the Browns got a steal in Shedeur. I bet he starts at some point this upcoming season. So what did we say on Friday? We said there's 2 paths that this can go. Either he gets drafted in the first round and somebody says, well, he's a reach and the expectations are too high and he gets the keys, or he gets drafted too low, in this case, far too low, like in the 5th, like I said, right? Because I think the player is probably in the 2nd and 3rd round range.
Right.
But the player plus the personality, now, is this the wake-up call that he needs to kick it into gear and stop doing whatever act he's doing? Because it's just an act. It's just an act. Showing the watch and doing all that stuff, like, that's not who you are. That's just something that you do. So is this the wake-up call that he needed to, reach his potential? It's possible. I wouldn't, that is a distinct possibility.
How do you walk into the locker room and handle grown-ass men that are your coworkers?
And they're going to be making fun of you immediately
Yeah.
when you enter that room.
It is possible that the pick turned around and became great value for Cleveland.
And dad is not there to save you anymore.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's that far out of the question. I think there's a lot of different ways that this could go. Let's see. Sith Destroyer.
Hi, Sith Destroyer.
There is 0 chance Shedeur starts for the Browns. He likely won't see the field for multiple seasons and will be forgotten. Oh, I wouldn't call there 0 chance. But yeah, I mean, when you get drafted in the position that you get drafted in, with the room that you and the franchise that you've got drafted into, like if you're doing an odds board on it right now, what are the chances that Shedeur ever starts a game in the NFL or ever whatever? I mean, it's not. Josh is checking the offshore gambling sites right now. They're not very good for him.
Well, I wanted to make sure I got everybody that is a quarterback on the Browns. I mean, it's Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders,
Deshaun Watson,
who tore his ACL and isn't playing next year, right?
Yep. And there's more. There's
Kenny Pickett. That's the other one.
The Pickett man. I mean, he's at least at the most the third guy.
I wouldn't put it at 0% chance he plays.
No, I wouldn't put it at
Also,
0.
he will play in a preseason game, and we will have takes.
Yeah. Yep. He'll get sacked a couple times. Maybe he'll throw a pick six.
He'll throw a dime, and we'll be like, "See, you got to start him. You got to start him."
Oh, that Kuiper would be on the TV again. TF writes in.
Hi, TF.
Clearly, Cleveland was the only team that was willing to put up with the bleep show that is Deion Sanders. I just don't think it's Deion. Like, I mean, I guess if you want to make the case that Shedeur is only the way Shedeur is because of Deion, then I guess it is Deion a little bit. But well, okay. I saw some video from like when he was falling and they drafted Shuck, I think specifically at that pick, 9th in the 2nd round, and they had a camera on him because everything was on camera, like you said, the iPhone cameras, and you could kind of see everything just washing over his face. It's like, ooh, this is not. Did I make a mistake? You know, did we make a mistake in how we set this? Because he wants the best for his kids, right? But
definitely,
I think what the NFL maybe told Deion is, hey, what you did, the environment that you put him in over the last couple of years, maybe wasn't necessarily the best thing for him.
So I think it's interesting that you bring that up, and you don't think that after like a loss to BYU, in an effort to get Deion to talk but not talk about the game, somebody would, hey, you think Cleveland should start your kid? Because he's not gonna not.
He might
talk
go there.
About it.
He might go there. I don't know. Yeah, it becomes really weird now that they're not together anymore.
Something that I, in my own naivete, didn't think about. Like, oh, yeah, you know, some Colorado reporter probably is going to try and ask him about this.
And by the way, Colorado got how many wide receivers drafted? A couple.
Travis Hunter.
Well, yes. That was one of them, and maybe they didn't get drafted. Maybe they just ended up in the. Sorry.
Jimmy Horn guy go pro?
Yes, LeJontay Wester, 6th round. Jimmy Horn,
Panthers,
6th round. And those were their top 3 receivers last year when you include Travis Hunter. So he got 3 wide receivers drafted, and still you know what I mean? Like you're just assembling the case for him as a football player as well. All right, so I get a couple of emails that we can get to a little bit later on in the show. We are not going. This is not culture war of the week for us, Josh. We're going to let this continue to be a culture war. Actually, I should turn it to the chit chat shows.
Oh, it's the only thing they're talking about.
Well, let's see. McAfee headline on the bottom is there he is, Shedeur Sanders. Hey, there's your tweet that you were looking for. The Browns Albert Breer tweet.
Yeah.
Flacco, Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur, Deshaun Watson. In alphabetical order, by the way.
Wasn't trying to disrespect anybody.
Yeah. You were right. That is definitely the thing that they are talking about.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mike Schaefer is going to join us on the other side. We'll talk about his weekend at the Husker Games, the draft, Marty Brown, things of that nature. Schaef's up on the other side here on 1620 The Zone.
Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth. For sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
And we're joined now on the hotline by Mike Schaefer of Husker 247. Hello, Schaefer.
How are we doing today?
Good. I'm glad you picked up on the thing that I was doing over the weekend. It's a really good idea, by the way. If you ever want to get one of your articles out there and you want people to click on it and look at it, just put a picture of your kid. I mean, it seemed to have worked yesterday.
Yeah, that's good. Did you feel like there was a good amount of clicks for the post of your child?
It certainly got way more interaction than a normal "Here comes a Creighton baseball game" on 1180 The Zone tweet.
Yeah, I am not shocked by this. I do wonder if people will get wise to the scheme, though.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be in every game. It's not going to be in every game, but she happened to be up there at the start of the game, so I figured, why not? It got a little bit of people telling me how cute my kid is something that I thought would get annoying, but it actually has not gotten old yet, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, well, I mean that's good. That is good. I will say it did get me into a spot of trouble. Shelby is annoyed that Hudson doesn't have a press credential yet, and Sophie was kind enough to get one from the good folks at Creighton. So I don't know. I'll have to work on Keith Mann to see if I can get a placard for Hudson as well.
I was gonna say, I bet I can get you
the collateral damage that I felt of the whole thing.
I was gonna say, I bet I'd get you a Creighton one, but I don't know if you want little Hudsker's first credential to be a Creighton one.
Yeah, there's members of his extended family who'd be excited about this. We'll pass for them.
Okay. What's going on with Marty Brown today? Let's just start there before we get into the weekend and the Husker games and all that stuff. Where are we at on this?
Yeah, I think we're closing in on a decision probably sooner than later. It's hard to kind of gauge because I think a lot of different things have sort of occurred. At this time last week, I know for a fact Nebraska wasn't pushing particularly hard or just showing much interest at all, and that didn't really change until he arrived Thursday, and the visit went very well, and I think they were impressed by him as a person, and he certainly likes Nebraska staff, and I think that visit went well, but the problem is coming off the heels of a good one to Miami, and Miami has shown a ton of interest all along and have made him a priority, and I don't know that Nebraska had displayed the same thing until Thursday, and even then, I don't know that he's viewed necessarily as a priority because, as we've talked, they like their running back room. And then you have Cal, who kind of throws a wrench into this whole thing where they have a wide open running back room. And so he's kind of got all sorts of options here where, Cal might have the quickest path to playing time. At Nebraska, he'd be closer to friends and family. Miami has certainly built a path for him in which he wouldn't be the guy this year, but the idea would be down the line he could be. So I think, he's weighing across those three things. I've been sort of adamant, and then I had to soften it a little bit with how well Thursday went, but I continue to say this, that I'd be a little surprised if he ends up in Lincoln. I just think the other schools have a bigger need, are more likely to pay more in NIL, and Nebraska doesn't want to be in a bidding war. And I think the other thing is they don't feel like they have to get him, and so I think they'd be excited to get him, and I think it would work well. But I kind of just feel like it's not the exact perfect fit at the right time. And if he's willing to potentially take less than just to stay home, that might be what makes all of this happen.
Why do you think Nebraska, because I remember when we talked last week, like you said, it doesn't feel like they're really going to push here. Why do you think that changed over the last week?
Well, I think some of it was, hey, are we just being used as a stand-in here to try to raise more NIL? Is there real interest? Do we like this person as a player? Do we like him as a person? I think Matt Rule is relatively guarded about bringing people in that wouldn't have went through the spring, wouldn't have kind of gone through the mat drills and gone through the sort of team building exercises that is spring off season football. And I don't think it was anything personally about Shamar Brown, but it was more just you don't really know what this is. And they like that running back room. I keep saying that. And I know that it's going to be an eye roll for some people because there's guys that just haven't performed yet. We don't know what they are, but over there, they seem to really like what they have. And they just don't, they didn't go out and get one in January. They didn't prioritize it. They didn't even make, Brown a priority until they kind of got into Thursday. And I think they realized like, hey, this is someone that could not only help us, but he's a good fit here and we like him. And so I think that's sort of where things kind of changed for Nebraska. But at the end of the day, I think whether they get Brown or not, they're still comfortable with what their running back room is.
Shafe, I was going to ask, what'd you take from some of the young guys scrimmaging? Was there anybody that sort of you were watching for that ended up playing real football on Saturday at the Husker Games that you were either impressed by or that confirmed some of your thoughts on what they were going to look like or what they ended up being?
Yeah, I went into it knowing that we weren't going to see a lot of the guys that are going to help you in 2025, but what we were going to get was kind of a window into who some of these freshmen are, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, maybe some guys that have been there for a few years now that are a little bit further down on the depth chart, but could they provide more? And so I had my eye on right away TJ Lateef because we had heard kind of that he had a good spring and it has sort of been quiet for a true freshman quarterback that was in the Elite 11 that I think there's some real enthusiasm about over there. And like I said, we had heard that it was a good spring. And so I wanted to get eyes on him. And while it didn't look great, and I don't necessarily think it's any one factor or another. I mean, it's worth pointing out that wide receivers weren't exactly the guys that are going to be creating separation here. And the offensive line had their issues with some pass protection every now and then. But the one thing that stood out to me is he has effortless athleticism. He showed good ability to know when to take off and run when the yards were right in front of him. I think he has nice movement, looks good in the pocket there. Obviously, there's a lot left to be desired in terms of performance and seeing him against what would be actual Big Ten caliber players. But I think there's a reason to be enthusiastic about TJ Lateef. I don't think he's going to be Nebraska's backup quarterback in 2025. But could he have jockeyed to the number 3 spot? Could he be ahead of where maybe a Marcos Davila is at right now? I think that's a real possibility. I thought that was one of the more interesting things to kind of go into Saturday watching. And then I spent a lot of time watching the line play. They rotated a lot on the offensive line. Thought Mason Goldman had a good performance defensively. So there wasn't a ton of takeaways. The event wasn't really designed for media hot take analysis as it was anyways. But,
right.
That's kind of what we saw. The whole thing was unique, I guess is a word for it.
Okay. So yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Now with all of the, the conversation about how it's not going to be the spring game anymore. And then what are they going to do? What's it going to look like? There's not going to be any football. Oh, there is going to be football. And then we actually saw it play out on Saturday. How would you describe Nebraska's approach to that particular day? And did we get any hints on what it might look like going forward?
I hope it doesn't look like this going forward. I think it, and I have to put caveats into this. Like, this is not an event designed for me.
No.
It's not an event designed for me as a person interested in football or media stuff. So I think that's important to note. But also, as far as a spectator thing, you have these events, like, people can't see who's doing the bench press. So, like, they're just sitting in a stadium watching the video board. There's no graphic telling you which person is up. They're all sort of wearing the same jerseys, and yes, they have numbers, but if they're laying on their back doing the bench press, you can't really see who it is. So from a spectator standpoint, like, it was pretty rough at times. I think some of what they tried to do was interesting and fun. I think there's ways that you can incorporate something like this and and there's things that they can take from this. But ultimately, I think the important thing here is just the acknowledgement that spring football is just going to be different. The way that it ends is going to be different. I think Nebraska it would behoove Nebraska to have a scrimmage in fall camp in which the money goes towards NIL, and you invite fans to come out and watch. And I think they would get a ton of people that would pay the $10, $15, $25, whatever, especially knowing it's a donation to NIL. Like I think that can still be a big part of what we do. I just think it's important for everyone to acknowledge that spring football is going to look different and feel different and sound different, and sometimes involves robotic horses and cats. So I wouldn't call it a failure. It'd be hard for me to call it a success. It sort of was just this really odd thing that occurred. But I think some people enjoyed it. I just don't know that there was much that people got to take away from it. And if they do this again, I think there's different ways the presentation can be done better that would enhance the overall experience.
Any Vikings draft hot takes?
No, I mean, they took Donovan Jackson at 24, and he's a perfectly serviceable offensive lineman that I think I was fine with the pick. And then they only had like a few picks after the rest of the draft.
Yeah.
So there's hard for me to have much in terms of takeaway. They have an absolutely loaded roster and a giant question mark at quarterback. So, that's just kind of what the Minnesota Vikings are for 2025.
Yep. Seems like it. But they'll probably start, they'll probably go 12-5 or something like that, exclusively off of their defense, and then, lose in the wild card round.
I don't know why you would put that on me, but thank you for such a prediction.
I'm just saying, it feels like I'm never going to predict the Vikings to go 3-14.
They rarely ever do.
Yeah.
They're one of the most successful organizations in terms of regular season wins in the NFL. But once that calendar flips to January, it gets a lot harder for some reason.
All right, Shafe, enjoy the rest of your day and your week. Good to talk. We'll see you soon.
All right. Well, I'll see you in a few hours for the crossover.
Oh, my God. Are you bringing a deck of cards?
I'm not bringing a deck of cards, but I do have something that I did over the weekend that I want to hit on air and then watch you and Josh react to.
Okay. Fantastic. Can't wait. See you in a couple hours.
All right. See you then.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 247. He's got his morning mash up right now about a variety of different topics. And yes, I forgot that he is in for our dear John Bishop.
Our dear friend.
Our dear friend, John Bishop.
Hobbled as he may be.
Who can drive. Schaefer can drive from Lincoln to Omaha.
Others
can't. Others are not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, we'll see how much we talk about that a little bit later on.
Not our call to make.
Not our call to make. Of course, we're going to let John tell his story whenever we do that. So thanks to Schaefer for joining the show. And yes, we will see what happens with Marty Brown, who said this morning to one publication that it was basically 50-50.
I like those odds.
50-50 makes you think that only two schools are involved.
That's right.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the decision-making process looks like.
Our kid's bad at math.
We're all going to see apparently what happens at the same time. And maybe that day is today, or maybe it'll be this afternoon, or maybe it'll be tomorrow. Quickly, Josh, before we take a break, wanted to pass along some news from over the weekend. Longtime Omaha baseball staple Bill Olson, lost him over the weekend. He'd been sick for a while, not doing very well. If you played baseball and were mildly serious in this town growing up over the last 40 years, you knew who Bill Olson was. You whether it was going to the strike zone or being in one of the camps or whatever it might be, and the fundamentals and all of those things. So a big loss for the Omaha high school baseball community, obviously with all the winning that he did at Omaha Northwest, but then dedicated his life to just mentoring kids after that. So sad to lose Bill Olson over the weekend. I spoke with Greg, his son, former major leaguer Greg Olson, at the Creighton steak fry a couple months ago and sort of asked because I had heard that he wasn't, doing particularly well. And he said it was kind of difficult to see his dad like this at that point. So tough loss for the Omaha baseball community. And our thoughts go out, of course, to the Olsen family. And hopefully they know how many lives Bill Olsen touched.
I imagine they'll be hearing it over the weekend and the next few weeks to come.
Yeah, I would think so. Let's take a quick break. The Odd News is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, analysis, and commentary in a clean, concise, and disease-free way.
See there?
What a relief. Thank God.
Wonderful. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Okay, Josh.
Hold on, they're showing highlights of my Lord and Savior on the TV there. Oh, look at that. beautiful.
Are there any questions about how he treats people and things of that nature?
No, you see, there's one video of him being asked by Shedeur, hey, you want to make a song together? And he said, I don't do that. I play football.
Oh, my God. How could Cam Ward come out of this looking any better?
I know. Pretty good weekend for Cam Ward.
Nice. What was the thing that we talked about earlier that is going to come up during? Oh, yeah, the Belichick interview.
Yes.
Is that now?
That is right now.
All right, let's do it.
On Michael Severe's favorite show, CBS Sunday Morning. It's a very good show. I just know Michael likes it.
He tweeted out a clip.
He always does.
Yeah, he always is like, I love this story. This is a great story.
It is a great show. But Bill Belichick was interviewed by the fine folks at CBS, and the topic of his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, came up. As
it would. People are interested in this kind of stuff.
The CBS anchor, I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to be very straightforward with everyone here. Tony Dockapil.
Tony Dockapil.
Dockapil. I'm sure that's not right, but whatever. It's not important to the story. He said, how did you guys meet? And then from off camera, Hudson abruptly interrupted the interview saying, we're not talking about this. And the interviewer said, no. And she replied, no, we're not talking about this. Belichick said nothing in response to that question. The interviewer then tried to say, hey, you're a lot of great photos of you two on InstaFace, as you called it. I thought that was funny that you called it that. And he said, I am on those sites, but I don't follow them. So it was very clear, like, hey, it ain't me posting the things that have my name on them, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is crazy. Bill Belichick, he left his own body.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even, he's just allowing other people to control him now. This is amazing. What does this mean? And by the way, people forget this. He is the football coach at North Carolina.
He's going to need a body and a brain.
Right. But he seems to be taking instruction from just about everybody else at this point. I don't know what's going on.
So
does he even have opinions anymore?
The two of them couldn't come up with an answer to
seriously.
How did you two meet?
Of course you were going to get something like that. Why don't you just say
a party?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of cute. I saw him from across the room.
The single most innocuous question a couple
like
could be asked. I did not care how these two met before.
These people,
now it is the only thing I care about in life
and keep in
is
mind,
how these two met.
These people don't have to hang out with normal people. And so when they go out to dinner with another couple, nobody's going to ask them like, how'd you meet? You know, how did this start? Because they don't hang out with normal people. If they were normal people,
right,
then people would be asking them that all the time.
Think about how many gatherings you've been to with your significant other.
How'd you guys meet?
Yeah.
It's almost like the second question. I don't know what the first one's like. Okay.
What do you do for a living?
We've established that you two are married. What do you do? What do you do? Oh, where do you what part of town do you live in? How long you lived here? Where'd you meet? I mean, it's in the first 5 questions.
Yeah.
And it has to be answered. And you should have enough time by now, depending on how long you've been in the relationship with this person. So in this case, it is more than a year, right?
I believe so, yes.
Something around that time. You should have a pre-rehearsed one-line answer that you just...
Friend of a friend.
That you just use. Oh, yeah, friend of a friend.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that hard. You could even lie.
Yeah,
actually, preferably at this point, you do lie.
Because
what you should not say to the TV anchor is, we're not talking about this.
Oh.
That's the wrong answer, actually.
Now obsessed with how you two met.
Chris writes in.
Hi, Chris.
They met at a coach's clinic where she was breaking down the 4-6 defense. Text from the 757. They met on the match face thing. I don't know. I turned on one of my apps one day and there was a hot girl on it and it was her.
I'm on to Jordan.
We're on to Jordan.
Yeah. I don't know.
You should have said he could have made a bit out of it.
He could have
made a bit. It's like, I actually know her parents. And
her dad handled my retirement fund. And I said, it's a pretty nice daughter you got there.
And that would probably be bad, but
probably
it's an
would.
option.
But
It's an option.
I would also argue it's a better answer than
It may be.
we're not talking about this.
It may just be.
We go across the pond to England for story number 2. A man who paid more than $26,000 to replace his stolen car later discovered he unknowingly bought his own vehicle back.
Oh, that's nightmare scenario.
Yeah, Ewan Valentine, 36 years young, said he discovered February 28th his black 2016 Honda Civic had been stolen from its parking space. He was distraught about the loss and had hoped to replace the car with a nearly identical car. Sure enough, I found one for sale. Same color, same year, same custom exhaust system. He wrote on social media.
Where did he find it for sale? Facebook Marketplace?
Probably. The license plates and VIN number were different from his stolen vehicle, so he didn't think too much about the similarities.
Sure.
I started to notice some odd things I got home. I noticed some Christmas tree pines in the boot. I'm not quite sure what that means in British slang, but
Christmas tree pines.
there were nobody had vacuumed the car. I noticed the locking wheel nut was in a Tesco sandwich bag.
In the boot, it means the trunk.
The trunk, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I noticed some wrappers in the central storage section, all oddly similar to my stolen car. You didn't clean out the damn thing?
Okay. This guy accidentally did an investigation. And so I do want to hear how it ends, though. How did it end?
He took the vehicle to a Honda dealership where he said, "Hey, I think this is my car, but the VIN number is different." The technicians confirmed the VIN was a fake, and the car was indeed one that had been stolen from Valentine. The first Honda technician, he pulled the physical key out, puts it straight in the door, and unlocks it, and he's like, "Yes, this is your car."
Okay. Well, I feel like you probably should have figured out a little bit earlier, but we'll give this guy the credit. He got to the bottom of it eventually. He just needed a little shove in the right direction. That's all. And
finally, a female passenger on a Southwest Airlines flight to Chicago allegedly.
I've been on a Southwest Airlines flight to Chicago.
Well, have you ever seen anyone strip down naked and pop a squat on their seat?
No.
And drop a deuce?
No, but I wouldn't be terribly shocked.
Okay. Police officers called to Midway Saturday as Flight 418 from Philly arrived with one passenger shocking the cabin by taking her clothes off and emptying her bowels on the plane.
Oh.
Yeah. Wasn't clear what happened to the passenger. I mean, I'm going to guess some type of synthetic drugs.
Yeah. I'd say meth.
Maybe whatever happened to just like one little sleeping pill on the plane. Just, hey, we're about to take off. I'm going to pop one little sleeping pill.
I'm about to take a flight. I got to get all methed up.
All the drugs.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to do that.
No. Just something that could get you a little nappy nap on the plane. If you're a normal person, you don't need that either.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah. Or you just stay awake. That's also an option. She chose meth. I think that'd be my guess.
Don't choose meth, people. You're going to lose every time.
Yeah, do not choose meth. Not on that Southwest flight to Chicago. Nah. She probably got off the plane and was like, "I cannot leave this airport without my cheese caramel popcorn from Garrett's combo."
As she's being let out in handcuffs, I gotta go to Garrett.
I will get my combo. The meth is worn off. I'm not high anymore. I need my combo popcorn. All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. We'll be back for the noon hour. Still plenty to cover, including the Creighton edition from over the weekend, the Husker Games, and plenty more on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, shout out to all my homies in the media for going out and catching them punts. Most of them. 3 out of 4.
I mean,
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4 did?
3? No, there was only 3 media people, and there was 4 punts.
Okay.
1 was dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 were caught.
Oh, okay.
You cool with that?
I saw Sean drop one and catch one. That's literally the only thing I saw from the Husker games all weekend.
Dude, same. That's why I want people to call in. Now, they did put out a recap video, like a 2-minute long recap video. By the way, did you know that Mike Eckler, they threw on 2 plates, right? 225 on the bench. And Mike Eckler hit that 13 times. What a psychopath.
I heard that on
he's like 50 years old.
Yeah, it was for charity, apparently.
Rule ended up donating like $130,000 to teammates.
Yeah.
This is all from what I've heard. But how about Mike Eckler just ripping off 13 reps at 2 plates?
We saw him at the Jet Awards. That seems very possible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The roping competition, the throwing the football through the basketball hoops, things of that nature. And then there was kind of the football parts as well. But shout out to the media for catching them punts.
It takes a lot of courage to get up there in front of 9,000 people and
try
that.
Was Sean Callahan done dirty by the Huskers?
Oh,
that's what people were saying.
Revenge.
They were they were saying that Sean was they put out the one video of Sean dropping the punt, which that's the whole point, right?
Right.
You want the media to go out there and make a fool out of themselves for a little bit. And unfortunately, Sean didn't come through. But my boy Mitch and my boy Kevin clutched Gene. They clutched up because they knew that they were about to become a meme if they dropped the punt.
Right. Sean had to put out his own highlight of...
Sean got a second punt.
Look, I caught one. Here it is.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I said to Mitch this morning. They offered him a second punt. They wanted to run it back. And
no,
Mitch was like, "No, thank you.
Nope.
I'm leaving the casino. I just bet everything on black. I'm leaving.
House ain't winning today."
And the dealer's like, "No, you have to stay." Like they almost don't let you leave, like physically. And like, sorry, I have it. It's well within my rights to collect all this money on this table and leave this casino.
We're prepared to comp you a suite for the next week if you stay.
No, I'm leaving. I'll take the money right now. So shout out to those boys in the media over the weekend as well. Last night, the dinner round 2 happened. What is there a sound for this? What the hell was that?
It was honk sound effect.
That does not say honk, Josh. That says horn.
What sound does a horn make? I thought it would honk. Okay,
type in honk.
Nothing came up.
We don't have a honk.
We don't have a honk.
Honk, honk. We have the one that we put in Joel's open that one time.
Yeah.
Our Joel's. What's this? Honking for monkin'? Play it. Honking for monkin'.
Honk, honk.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Would you like to re-intro the topic?
Hey, Creighton got another basketball player last night.
Honk, honk.
We're honking. 5 o'clock. Everybody was like, all right, get home, settle in. 5 o'clock, something's going to happen. Remember the guy that we've been talking about for the last couple weeks here? Blake Harper. The Royals have a prospect named Blake Mitchell, and I keep wanting to say Blake Harper is he was the MEAC player of the year last year.
I keep wanting to type Blake Griffin when I make these graphics.
There's too many Blakes.
Too many Blakes. Please narrow it down to one.
Too many Blakes. Blake Harper transferred from Howard, averaged almost 20 points a game last year as a freshman. Was weighing his options. Remember, he was the one that was between Ohio State, LSU, Creighton, and going back to Howard. He ended up picking Creighton last night. So remember a couple of weeks ago when I said, hey guys, why don't we just pump the brakes on this thing a little bit? Like, I don't think this is a national, people, is this really a top 10 team? Boy, they're getting awfully close, Josh. They're getting awfully close. I don't know. I mean, think about this just real quick. We are honking for the Jays real quick. So if you were projecting a starting five at the moment, here's what you would have, I think. Nick Graves, the transfer from Charlotte. Josh Dix, the transfer from Iowa. Blake Harper, the transfer from Howard. Jackson McAndrew, the sophomore, not transfer from anywhere. And Owen Freeman, the transfer from Iowa. Then you would have rotational pieces such as Fedor Zugic, Jason Green, Isaac Trout.
I'm sorry, who?
Jason Green.
There we go.
Isaac Trout, Ty Davis, Hudson Greer. There'll be a lot of buzz about Hudson Greer this summer, Josh. Then you have a couple non-rotation returning guys like Josh Townley Thomas and Shane Thomas coming back. And I think you're probably to fill out the roster, because now you're going to be allowed to have 15 people on your roster. They're all going to be quote unquote scholarship players. You are probably looking to bring in, in my opinion, I'd say a backup big that just comes in and fouls the crap out of people for 8 minutes.
I like that.
That's what I would hope
Do that
at this point. Josh, I don't know. This is pretty good.
Honk, honk.
I'm trying to be as objective as I possibly can. I'm the only one who's not diving off of the cliff right now and saying national championship. However, I will say this. A lot of these guys who have signed up for this team, who have come in out of the transfer portal, I mean, I almost said Mitchell again. Harper is just going into his sophomore year. Think about it, him and Dix as well. You got a bunch of guys who are coming in and have multiple years of eligibility. So the whole thought process of,
second year in the system.
Second year in the system. But also, you pair that along with the MAC timeline, which we have just been assuming that it's been 2 years. I don't know that to be the case, but let's just say it's 2 years. Like, it really does feel like, Creighton spent more money than they've ever spent in the NIL game, getting, guys to show up. And, wasn't cheap to put together the roster that they've put together so far. So you pair all that stuff together in the timeline with Mac, like it does feel like this is one last big push to try and win big. That's a really good read. That's the read that I have. Think about Jackson McAndrew as a junior, Hudson Greer as a sophomore, Fedor in his third year, and Dix and now Harper. Like, you got some options, which is good, and you have some depth as well. Part of the thing that Creighton's had over the last couple of years is they've had some really, really good players, but they've had, 2 years ago when they were, 2 and 3 years ago when they were in the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16, you're basically playing 7 players. And the 7th was like a couple minutes for Fred King to come in because Kalkbrenner just couldn't play all the 40 minutes. And then, 2 years ago, it was just 6 with Farabelle. Last year, they had a little bit more options they could go to off the bench, and they wanted to get some young guys in there, and Ty Davis kind of flashed at the end of the season as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this and how much, weight you put on one guy or another guy. You got some options here, man. And you still pair that along with the development that Mac has, really proven out over the last since he's been here. I'm not honking, Josh. I'm just honking.
Well,
I'm not honking. I'm just honking. Sorry, I'll honk.
Honk, honk.
Hey,
I know in this day and age, it's very unbecoming to ask, what about the giant corporations' feelings? Has anyone considered that Godfathers will go bankrupt giving away pizza every time Creighton scores 75 measly points?
Are you suggesting
with this roster?
Are you suggesting that they move up the that they move up the point threshold for Godfather's Pizza?
I'm not saying they will or that they should. I'm just saying
this is ridiculous.
They're going to be giving away so much free pizza.
What's next for you, Josh? Takeaway power? Oh.
We've already done that.
Oh, damn it. Tradition is dead. You're right. Make it 100.
Yeah. We gotta think of Godfather's Pizza here, everybody, okay?
Are you suggesting that they move up the 75? I want you on the record for this, Josh. You're suggesting that they move up the 75-point threshold for Godfather's Pizza. And so Jake Ryan, God bless his heart, will jump on the PA when the Blue Jays score 90 points. That 90 points means free Godfather's Pizza. No. What's next, Josh? Get rid of the Budweiser song?
No, that's a staple.
How dare you?
We gotta write that one in ink.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, if Godfather's goes bankrupt after the next year or two at Creighton,
no,
this is why.
They like it when people eat their pizza. They like it when people eat their pizza. I ate the pizza. I was the only one who ate the pizza. Nobody else ate the pizza.
I'm just saying.
Does anybody actually get the Godfathers?
I don't even know how to in a ticketless society.
I know.
I don't even know how to redeem the thing you're offering.
Yeah, O-Trip says, I've had season tickets since I was a baby, and I don't think we've ever claimed the Godfather's Pizza. But it's so great. It's so great getting the 75, and it was especially great back in the day when the Jays were in the Valley, and it was like, oh my God, are they going to do it? Are they actually going to do it? They're going to get, because they would win games like 58-40 or something like that. It'd be like, oh my God, they're actually going to get 75 because they're playing, some D2 school or something like that. This is awesome. I bet Rob has this stat. Rob, let's send out the Rob beam. What's the percent, like over the years, what has been the raised percentage of games in which you had Godfathers?
Yes.
I mean,
has it hit more times than not?
I can only think of one home game last year where they didn't do it.
Okay.
I think it was the St. John's game.
Just saying. Be terrible if
hold on.
If a great, success story from right here in Omaha
went belly up,
were crippled
because of the free pizza,
because of the Creighton Blue Jays.
All right. We started 4 for 4, 5 for 5, 6 for 6, 7 for 7. Then the St. John's game.
They played a tough defense.
They do. Okay. Check against Providence. Check against Seton Hall. Check against Xavier. Check against Marquette. Check against Georgetown. Exactly 75 against DePaul.
That counts.
79 against Seton Hall and 87 against Butler. So that's right. Every home game but one last year featured free Godfather's Pizza. And Josh is worried about Mr. Godfather. Do it.
I would just hate for him to.
You think they're going to score? What do you suggest they should move the threshold up to?
Maybe 80, 85.
80, 85. If we moved that to 80 last year, we probably would have lost like 3 more. We would have lost three pizzas.
I mean, I want the fans to go home happy, and wouldn't winning make you happy? Do you need pizza on top of it?
Yes. Yes.
That's what's wrong with.
Why do you think people show up to get the Fred Hoiberg cologne or whatever they did? What did they do?
It was a
it was
a scented air freshener.
It was an air freshener. Yeah. Why do you think people show up for that? Because they need the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they have to wait to give away the crew necks till halftime at the Husker Games?
Hey, the doorbell's ringing. Why can I hear that?
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
John writes in on
John.
the text line. Did you say no? I didn't even say Alexa Dmitrievich. He's another guy in the rotation. He will undoubtedly affect Creighton's ability to put Godfathers out of business and score more than 75 points. Probably a redshirt candidate next year, to be honest with you. But
okay.
Right.
Well, it's a big roster.
Jasker Todd writes in.
Hi, Jasker Todd.
Josh is on a crusade to get rid of dollar beer night, too. Is this true, Josh?
No,
Josh hates all tradition and wants to murder it.
I would like there to be more dollar beer nights.
More dollar beer nights?
That's right.
I would like to see you as a marketing associate. I wonder what that season would look like.
We could do dollar beer night again, guys. No, every game has to have a different promotion. No, it doesn't.
No, it's all dollar beer night. It's all dollar beer night. Interesting. Jim Beam, 1901. What is this? Jim Beam, the company?
Wow.
The 09 Huskers ticket deals for Runza was the best. Oh, was it like allow less than 10 points or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
They did that a lot. They did that a lot that year. Mm-hmm. Pedro writes in.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. I still get the paper tickets, so I'd get the pizza.
Oh, wow.
Every time. I assume you could get the paper. I
don't even know how to get a paper ticket.
Yeah, you have to have it on special request, don't you? But I assume you could go show your phone at the Godfathers.
Probably.
Or maybe you could just like take a picture from the game and say, hey, look, I was at this game and we scored 75. Look it up.
I took a picture of the scoreboard
with
my face in it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And the newspaper from that day.
Here's your pizza. Jeff writes in.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff is a Creighton hater. He doesn't like when we talk about Creighton things.
Oh, no.
But here's what Jeff says. Have to give them credit. That's a pretty good roster. Must be nice not having a football team sucking up all the cash. Jeff, I'll remind you, Jeff, that I think that was a little bit of a backhanded compliment, but at a basketball school, it's less money and the money just shifts. Right? Like, what'd we say? 85% of Nebraska's revenue was made by the football team. Right? I would assume it's a pretty similar number for Creighton in their basketball team. So their basketball team is just their football team. It's just less money. And you're putting all of your resources and efforts into making sure that basketball team is good. And you don't have to have the football team to deal with. But yes, if you're thinking about it from a basketball only perspective, you feel like you're in a pretty good position going forward. And there's no doubt Creighton is now Scrooge McDuck, apparently. Back in the day, we were, God, what is it? This feels like it was a long time ago now, but I think it was Friday. We got off on a conversation. No, I guess it was last Tuesday, probably. John and I got on this conversation during a baseball broadcast about the Creighton football team. And the field that they used to play at. And then we started talking about the old gym and stuff like that, and just how different it was. And now things are just a little different. They're a little bit different. That's for sure. So there you go. I think Creighton has put together a very, very good basketball roster. I'm not ready to say that they're going to win the national championship yet, but I do think they have been aggressive in putting this thing together because I know. I do think they've been aggressive in putting this thing together, both from a monetary standpoint and from a pure basketball roster building standpoint, because it not that they would be any less aggressive if it was just Huss right now, but I think they got a chance. I think they got a chance to really do some things. I don't know what other teams are looking like at this point. Everybody's updating their top 25s, 35s, 37s, 48s, whatever today. I don't know if you move Creighton based on what they've done. But I mean, the experience that they've gotten with the top end talent potential, it's going to be pretty good. I got a message before from someone who said Jason Green will start over Blake Harper. All the better.
Oh,
right. If it is going to definitely take. If you're looking at it from a basketball perspective, it is definitely going to take a level of sacrifice. That's one of the things that I think transfers, have to figure out when you come into the Creighton program, right? If you're Blake Harper and you're scoring 20 points a game at a MEAC school in Howard, and you're going to come to Creighton, it's not going to be the same. You're not going to be getting 20 points a game. You're going to probably be getting some better shots. You're going to be getting them with less frequency, and you have to sacrifice some things.
Playing against better teams.
If your deal was you want to come in and get buckets, then there's time and place for that, but it's not all the time. You can't be, what'd they tell Kalkbrenner when he came back this year? You can't be the same player that you were. Mm-hmm. You have to sacrifice something. You have to give up something, and you have to become And on the other side, you'll be a better, more complete player for it. But it takes a lot for kids to accept that, right? We need you to buy in. We need you to do something different. And credit to, a whole bunch of guys over the years, but specifically last year, Jemiah Neal and Stephen Ashworth and Ryan Kalkbrenner and a whole bunch of other guys on the roster, obviously, as well. They all did that, but specifically Jemiah, right? Jemiah is completely different player. It was a completely different player last year. So they've gotten guys to do it, but it's not a lock and it's not a guarantee that they're able to do it every single time. Good pickup. Good pickup, Josh. I'm no honk. Don't call me a honk. Don't put it on the internet that I'm a honk.
Many people are saying you're a honk.
Don't put it on the internet that I'm a honk.
Honk, honk.
Matthew writes in.
Hi, Matthew.
Shaka's got his thumb up his butt, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Is this true?
Marquette hates the portal.
Marquette is allergic to the portal. They don't lose anybody in the portal, and they don't gain anybody in the portal. They don't do anything. They just sit there. St. John's does too much portal. I would say honk honk that Creighton does like the appropriate amount of portal.
Oh, come on, Connor.
What? They just
honk honk.
They're doing it right, Josh. The Blue Jays are doing it right. Finally, a team that knows business. The Creighton Blue Jays.
Honk honk.
Thank you.
Glad we found that.
Yeah, this is a good one.
It's coming handy.
It's a good one.
All right. Can O-Trips go back to studying, or do we have more?
We're probably done.
Okay.
And unless you want to take away another loved, time-honored Creighton tradition, Josh.
What would I like to destroy at Creighton University? I don't know. They do a lot there. I mean,
what?
You want
to cancel a whole sport?
No, I want Jay's Live to be expanded. I want my man's doing more.
No. Connor does not need more. No.
More Happer.
Bad call. Bad take by you.
Do some pre-tapes.
Some pre-tapes.
You can air them before.
People want to watch canned interviews being thrown up. No, nobody wants that, Josh. Yeah. They would rather have their 75 points for Godfather's Pizza and less me. That's what they want. And damn it, that's what they're going to get. Or the same amount of me. Same or less, probably not more.
Don't be cutting my guy's time, or you're going to hear from me.
From the 402.
I-402.
Jay's Live expanded to section 220.
Yeah!
The 220 boys. Maybe Upper Bowl Appreciation will be back next year. All right.
I'd rather have dollar beer night.
We will. Josh would do dollar beer nights every single game.
The police would hate me.
Maybe you could take care of that construction around the arena.
Oh yeah, do that.
That's not their call. That's not their call.
If I was mayor, it would be done.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you know what? I just thought of this. I just remembered this from last week. So when we went up to South Dakota State or Sioux Falls for that baseball game against South Dakota State.
That's right. That happened.
Why are you so surprised? It did happen. So they did individual player intros for a baseball game.
It seems like a lot, but okay.
They announced them one by one, and they came out of the dugout and the gauntlet and ran out to the field one by one. Guess what song was playing in the background?
Power.
You got it. And I thought, interesting.
How did it hit the ear? Just out of curiosity.
It sounded great.
Okay.
It sounded amazing. I missed it. I miss it badly.
Wow.
I know. You could just play it. You could just play the instrument. It was just the instrumental. You know. It's great. But it's gone, and I don't think it's ever coming back. What? Oh, the email?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Josh, what else do we have to talk? Oh, yes, the prank call. So, by the way, we got a comment from RDJ fan.
Hi, RDJ.
What a breath of fresh air. Nice. It said mice. Nice Creighton Hoops Talk segment. Far better than the endless Shedeur and endless Husker Games rummage sale talk. I like calling it a rummage sale. It was.
They could have charged twice what they were charged. I know nobody wants to hear it.
No, go ahead. Talk about the garage sale, Josh, because this could have been much better done, it seems.
They could have charged twice what they were charging for the things. It was like it was an actual garage sale, and they just wanted to get the crap out of the building.
Which is why, because you know that there's going to be 5,000 people who go to this thing, unless your name is Matt McMaster. You know
what's the earliest I can put myself in line? 6 a.m.? Okay, I'll be there at 6 a.m.
Yes. And because you know that there's some people who did that because there's too many sweats, as Matt correctly predicted in that regard. There's too many sweats, which means when they put out the pictures of all the things that they were going to be selling for the prices that they were going to be selling them at, you know it was going to get competitive. And so there was I heard 3,000 to 5,000 people showed up to this thing, and all you had to do was buy a ticket to the Husker Games, and then you could get as much free merchandise as you want, or as much deeply discounted merchandise as you want. And I mean as much as you want. And so there were some people who got there at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whenever it opened, and they were like, well, everything's gone. And and the Huskers were like, shrug.
We just needed it out of here. We don't care how or where it goes.
These are Husker problems, right? This is an issue that really nobody else has in the entire world. You get graded on your ability to successfully perform a garage sale. But I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace for like a lot more money than what they got it for.
I mean, a lot of basements in this state.
There's always going to be people taking advantage of whatever it is.
Every basement needs some Husker memorabilia in it.
I would like to believe in the greater good, society. Like, hey, we're gonna come around. We're just gonna get a couple things, get some stuff for the kids. Maybe I'll get a quarter zip or a polo or something like that. We'll leave. But no, it's like people walking out with wagons and trash bags full of old helmets and jerseys and stuff like that. I'm like, damn. You gotta leave leave something for somebody.
You don't have to have a job anymore. You can just string together enough things like this where I'll buy it for $50 and I'll resell it all for $500, and there you go. I'll sell pictures of my feet for $25, and
that's true.
I'll drive my kid to soccer and I'll charge him $25. Just stringing together gigs. It's the gig economy, Connor. You don't have to have a job.
I have gigs, but I also have a real job.
Yes.
So that's nice. That's good. So yeah, it didn't go that well.
I'll macrame a pot holder and sell that.
Oh yeah. Would you like to join my pyramid scheme, Josh?
That's right.
You can. It's available. Plenty of room for you.
Okay.
We get a question here from YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Oh, no. This is from the email. I apologize. This is from the email. Anthony writes
Anthony.
on the Equitable Bank inbox. What do the Jays baseball need to do to make an at-large NCAA tournament bid?
Whoa.
That's right, Josh. A question about the Jays baseball. I wonder if they will need it to win at least 40 games to have a chance to get an at-large NCAA tournament invite. If they could go 10-2 down the stretch and get at least 1-2 in the Big East tournament, I think they would have a solid chance. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Go Jays. From Anthony. So, a perfect time to bring this up. The Creighton Bluejays are 28-12. They are now 9-3 in the Big East. Somebody asked me last night if the Jays were in first place in the Big East, and I said, basically, because that's true.
Basically.
They are basically in first place in the Big East.
What does that mean?
Look at the conference standings, and you'll be able to tell exactly what it means. They're basically in first place.
They're in first place.
Have you seen the conference standings?
I have.
Look at it. Tell me what it says.
Creighton, 9-3.
Would you agree that they're basically in first place?
Basically in first
They're
place.
basically in first place. Creighton's 9-3 with
the fewest losses of any team in the Big East.
They have the best winning percentage out of everybody in the Big East.
That's right.
But they've played 3 less games than UConn and Xavier. UConn is the longest win streak in the nation right now.
The nation?
The nation, America, ever since they lost 2 out of 3 to those very Creighton Blue Jays. They have not lost. Their schedule is lightened up a little bit. Creighton will get Xavier in a home. They've already taken a series with UConn. They will get Xavier in a home series, not this weekend, but next. And then surrounding that, they go to Butler this weekend and Georgetown the final weekend of the regular season. Both of those teams at the very bottom of the Big East with the combined 5 wins at the moment. However, I will note that Seton Hall beat Creighton 2 out of 3, and they only have 5 total conference wins. So anything could happen. What is the regular threshold for teams getting in as an at-large caliber type of team? Creighton's RPI is at 56 right now. I'd say that you want to have that thing in the 30s or 40s, in that range. Is there enough to go get that kind of ranking? My answer is basically there might be enough, because here is what they have left. The thing,
honk, honk.
okay, so listen. Omaha's not going to do you anything for RPI.
Nope.
Nebraska's not going to do you anything for RPI.
Whoa.
Butler's not going to do you any. Nebraska's RPI is 68.
Almost nice.
Butler is not going to do you anything for RPI. They suck. Georgetown, right there. Same thing. Not going to do you anything. So, on the other hand, if you lose any of those games, it dings you pretty good. But there is that series with Xavier. And what Xavier did, and what they always do, is they game the RPI system. They schedule impossibly in the first 2 months of the season. They play everybody on planet Earth. They play all of the best. I feel like they look at the top 10 preseason and they say, let's go play all of them.
We'll take it.
Tennessee, Vanderbilt, LSU, Oregon State, you name it. They played them all in the first couple months of the season. And at Stanford, they played a series at Stanford. And what do? They got their butts kicked. But guess what? Their RPI is in really good shape because of it. Now, it was in the top 10 for the majority of the season. It's at 30 now. But that is an RPI series. If you win it, or if, hell, you sweep it, and we know that Xavier is a much, much different team, not at their home ballpark, which is a tiny baby ballpark. They're like the Yankees in that way, Josh. They play in a tiny baby ballpark.
Some people do.
They have to come here in 2 weeks. I am not ruling out the possibility that Creighton is an at-large NCAA tournament team.
At large?
I am not ruling out the possibility. Honk, honk. That's it. Not ruling out the possibility. I think the best way for Creighton to get in, and frankly, the easier path, is for them to just win the Big East tournament. I also think they have a chance to win the regular season because they're basically in first place. So what do they have to do? I mean, they have what? 3 series plus 3 midweeks left. So that's 9 games. That's 12 games left. And you're at 29 wins at the moment. You know, if you look at their projection on Warren Nolan right now, they're projecting them to go 39-13 with a 44 RPI. If they do what they're projected to do in the last couple weeks of the season. Wow. Which is interesting. They have them winning all their games but the midweeks.
Oh.
But the midweek at Nebraska and the road midweek at Omaha. I guess it's just the home road factor that they factor into that equation. Whatever it is, we're talking about a potentially 40-ish win team. If that's the case, they're going to put themselves in position. If their RPI is in the 40s, mid 40s, they're going to have a chance to stake their claim to that. So hopefully that answers that question.
I'm reading a projection from On3.
Oh, they have college baseball projections at On3.
Apparently, this is posted.
Color me skeptical.
This is from 40 minutes ago.
All right.
Creighton is.
Who is it aggregated from? D1 baseball?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Creighton is in the next 4 out category right now.
Yeah. I think they're in, like I said, I don't think it's crazy, Josh.
I'm trying to find the Big East team that they have in this tournament. And
probably Xavier.
I don't see them. Right
probably
now.
Xavier. Unless On3 forgot to include a Big East team.
Oh, there it is. UConn.
Oh, UConn. Interesting. Yeah. All 3 of those teams are pretty good. And Creighton's already got a series off of UConn, and they're gonna play Xavier for 3. Meanwhile, Nebraska baseball won 2 out of 3 this weekend. Scored some runs.
Scored 21 runs.
As Josh said, 21 points.
The football, there were 7 games last year that the football team did not score 21 points.
You had to look that up.
I did.
Why? Why did you do that?
For this exact reason. I'm talking about a baseball team scoring 21 runs.
It's a lot.
Oh, another Green Day parody. We could have done 21 runs.
21 runs. That song sucked.
It does.
Why did they make that song?
Well, when you're making an opera.
Green Day did a good thing, but that was bad. That one was bad. So congratulations to Nebraska, who are they still on the cut line for the Big Ten baseball tournament at this point? I didn't even look at the updated Big Ten standings. I apologize.
Wow.
They're 10th. Tied for 10th.
Honk, honk.
What?
I didn't even look it up.
I didn't do Nebraska baseball games this weekend.
Oh.
Who let Iowa be 20-4 in the league?
Anybody gonna beat them?
Who let Iowa swept they beat the crap out of Indiana this weekend. By the way, did you see in our college baseball series of the weekend, the Schloss series? Texas won 3 games, each by 1 run. That hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts.
Especially if you're A&M and you needed them not just for pride, but you kind of need to claw back into the field.
Ouch. I saw a look of blank stare on Jace Laviolette's face. Iowa. Who let Iowa go 20-4 in this league? Are they going to play anybody? They're going to play.
They play any of those West Coast teams?
So they're going to get Washington, and then they go. Oh yeah, they have that 3-game series with Oregon State and Des Moines, which is a non-con, and they finish with Oregon. So that'll be fascinating.
Okay,
they finish with Oregon at home.
A lot on the
line.
line.
The biggest Iowa baseball series of all time, coming up in a couple weeks against the Oregon Ducks for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So there you go. Jimmy writes in.
Hi, Jimmy.
Which means there will be 0 Big Ten teams repping in postseason baseball. What the hell does Iowa do over there to compete like they do? The fact that Nebraska sucks so much in everything in men's sports, yet Iowa can compete. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Some of it is schedule. Some of it is, I think Nebraska has really bad uniforms.
Oh.
Those graphite.
The more I see those, the graphite, the super, super dark gray
horrendous
jerseys,
horrendous.
they're bad.
With the oversized last names.
They're bad.
Yeah. They wear the black. Creighton wears black on Sundays too, but they get the black socks that are pulled up too. They're just doing a lot. Maybe that's what it is. They're just kind of doing a lot over there. Creighton, on the other hand, honk it, Josh. Those are some baseball uniforms.
Honk, honk.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You got to be this objectively.
Let me bring this back down to earth. The jerseys are very nice. If you're going to wear that camo cap,
they wore it on Military Day on Saturday.
Something else needs to be military. It looks weird.
They did away with that. They wore them when they debuted the powder blues last year. They were wearing the camo cap. That was their hat with it. But this year they went to the blue with the black brim, like the regular hat.
Okay.
With the powder blue uniforms. But for Military Day on Saturday, they went with the camo cap.
Thank you for your service.
Exactly. It's about the troops, which Josh loves.
Yeah.
And supports.
Why is that an issue that has come up?
Charles writes in.
Hi, Charles.
So the pitching is bad because of the uniforms. Yes.
That's right.
That's the only thing that I could possibly deduct.
Look good, feel good. Look good, feel good, play good.
There's your college baseball roundup. Did you see LSU's walk off?
I saw the umpire did not care for it. Hey, start walking.
What's that guy's name? Bear? Jones? Whatever his name. He's been there for 100 years, and because LSU always comes to the College World Series, and I'm like, oh my God, who is that guy? And they're like, well, that's our backup first baseman. I'm like, whoa, that guy is huge. And the umpire was like, hey man, just run around the bases, okay? And you're like, you don't understand. I just hit a walk-off home run against Tennessee.
Did you see that thing, Blue?
I just hit a 600-foot home run to walk off Tennessee. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to enjoy this as long as I possibly can, which good on him. All right, we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Jimmy in the YouTube chat is still triggered that Iowa's better than Nebraska at stuff. Some stuff, by the way, not all the stuff. About volleyball, Jimmy?
Yeah.
You ever believe Iowa's never taken a set off Nebraska volleyball? How about that one? But he says Nebraska has better facilities, better support, and better recruiting in all three of the main men's sports, yet Iowa beats them. Absolutely mind-numbing. Well, I think they would argue, Jimmy, I think the Hawks would argue that you can recruit all you want. Yeah, recruit all the whatever, 4 stars, 5 stars.
Sure.
Sure. We're gonna still do what we do. You know? And they got a system. Baseball, I will say this. I mean, football, whatever, right? Nebraska's fallen on some hard times. Iowa's got a deal that they do. They've had a really good coach for a long time. They've won with consistency. They've won it their way and all that stuff. Baseball, there ain't no reason that Nebraska shouldn't be able to develop pitching and hitting at a higher rate than what they have done over the last couple of years. There's just not compared to Iowa anyway. It's not, and you look at the talent that they're dealing with on their team, whatever. But I'm just saying Nebraska should be able to churn out pitchers at a much higher rate. Iowa is doing it really well right now.
They got something going on.
No reason. All right, prank calls, Josh.
Pranking it.
The son of Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich admitted to a prank call made to Shedeur Sanders during the NFL Draft. Did you see the video of this, Josh?
I did.
The prank call. It's found out about 24 hours later that Jax Ulbrich wrote down the number of a couple of prospects of the upcoming NFL Draft from an open iPad while visiting his parents' home to later conduct a prank call. Apparently, many people were prank called at the NFL.
Yeah.
Who were waiting to get NFL drafted this year. And Shedeur Sanders was the focus of really much of the entire draft. And so this one is it's out there. As Sanders continued to wait for his name to be called on day 2 of the draft on Friday, a video surfaced on social media of the former Colorado quarterback receiving a call from someone impersonating New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. The caller told Sanders, quote, "We're going to take you with our next pick, man, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Sorry about that." This is a bad bit.
Charles stole my thought on this.
What is
so
it?
I'll give Charles the credit here. Of course, a kid named Jackson would pull something like this.
It's Jax.
Don't name your kids Jax.
Jax. Jax. Jax.
What is he? The guy from Sons of Anarchy? Don't name your kid Jax.
He wrote in a Instagram post later, young Jax
Much later
after he was in his father being drugged through the mud. And the NFL has had to issue a statement of hey, we're going to evaluate our policies on this. What do you mean your policies?
Yeah.
You can't help that the kid he saw the number off the iPad and took it. There's nothing you could do about that. There's literally nothing you could do about that. So thank you, NFL, for being aware of all this and evaluating all your rules and structures. But my God, you're not going to be able to do anything about this one. Sorry. He wrote in the Instagram post that what he did was, quote, completely inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful. And that Jax mentioned that he called Shedeur somewhat ironically and apologized. And to which Shedeur took the call and apparently accepted his apology. So That was another piece of the Shedeur Sanders nightmare from over the weekend. I'm so sorry I took away from your moment. It was selfish and childish. It was. It was.
And the Falcons released a statement saying that they're not going to punish
No.
their guy, and I don't know what they should, but like I don't know how you parent your child, Connor, but what if your daughter took a phone number off of your iPad and publicly, very, very publicly pranked called somebody?
Wow. Hard to know. Hard to know.
And then everybody,
just because I can't really see it right now,
right?
it wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Everybody's
she's
calling Connor Happer a jerk for, hey man, your jerk kid pranked this guy.
I'd probably make it. I don't know. Maybe I guess you'd have to make it pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, but do you really want to do that when you bring your iPad home and you're like, listen, kids, this iPad has very important things on it. Do not go in there because you can't see what's in there. That would just make me want to go in there. I just want to go in there more and more.
I imagine the public shame is probably greater than any belt or
this is bad
privilege taking away that could be done.
The kids, it's interesting for prank calling. I mean, it's possible that prank calling is back, but it
sure seems like
it has come back. It has come back in a very bad. It's not a good method for it.
I mean,
not a good time for it.
I guess if you're Shedeur in that instance, you're like, okay, there's a number calling me. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, dude.
I kind of have to answer it, right?
I mean, think about it. You're on pins and needles, man.
Yeah.
But especially when it was going the way it was going for him, hey, we're going to call Shedeur and we're going to tell him that we're not drafting him.
It's not like you.
That's pretty cruel when you think about it.
It's not like you and I, where it's like, oh, I don't know that number. There's no way in hell I'm answering it.
Just to wrap up this whole Shedeur thing, like, I do find it a little bit odd how much glee people seem to be taking in the fact that he had a really bad weekend.
Yeah, that part of it was weird. Like, there's some football reasons. Like, there's some okay, you kind of got what you deserve.
And that's as far as I'll go.
Right.
Like, we explained it all. We laid it out all earlier.
Go back and listen. It was a good segment.
He could have handled things a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
He could have done this and that a little bit better. Am I sitting back in my chair, with a cigar, like celebrating the fact that he plummeted in the draft and, unnecessarily from his, like he could have, like I said, he could have done a lot to improve his draft stock, it seems, just from a personality standpoint. And that he got prank called by a snot-nosed little kid who's the son of an NFL defensive coordinator. No, I'm not happy about this, actually. I don't think anybody really should. I don't think you should be happy about this. Is it kind of funny? Like, I guess you could make that case, but are we rolling around and happy about taking glee in the fact that it was a really bad weekend for him? No, I don't think that we should be.
Feels like a step too far.
Yeah, there's a line there, and some people may have crossed it. Some people I think around here, we may have taken it a bit too far.
There was some glee.
I did see the Tommy Hill pick a lot this weekend. By the way, we haven't talked about Tommy Hill. He did not get drafted.
What happened there?
Charles writes in, who keeps numbers on an iPad? Maybe he had a spreadsheet or something like that,
It would have to be a spreadsheet.
He had a spreadsheet
right?
of all the numbers.
Yeah.
He could have gotten anybody he wanted to. All right, let's come back. Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald joins us on the other side. We'll see what he thought of, the draft and over the weekend, how Nebraska handled the spring game, the Husker games, everything else in between with Sam. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Sam McEwen is the newsman. Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald. On the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
That's right. We're joined now on the hotline by our good friend Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald. Sam, good afternoon to you. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. How was the Husker Games? The whole experience on Saturday. I gotta hear it from somebody who was there.
Yeah. Well, it was all right. I think it went on a little long. They had to kind of shorten it up at the end and hurry up because it was probably going to go closer to 3 hours until Rule turned the fourth quarter into 2 plays, which I agree with him doing, by the way. I think it had its moments. Dylan Raiola putting a football through a basketball hoop from 40 yards away, which is almost impossible to do.
Pretty cool.
Is definitely a moment. And, the scrimmage had its moments. I think if they do it again, they might want to, pare down some of the events. I would keep the roping. I thought people kind of liked that. I think that the special teams competition didn't move people's needle much. And then I think like some of the other stuff, like the wing eating competition, is hard to access because you're basically just watching a screen. You can't see them eating the wings. So
right.
There's some things I would try to change if they do it again. But I'd probably have a little bit more of a scrimmage. I thought some of the young guys played well. The big hit of the day was the garage sale. So now they know. They wouldn't have known. Now they do. They can have one of those every year. And some years will be better than others. But they can have a garage sale every single spring and be really successful in doing it.
Sam, from a football perspective, now, whatever was taken out of the Husker Games, maybe we learned, or at least we saw some things from some of the younger quarterbacks on the roster and stuff like that. But I'm thinking post-spring, a little bit more global here. You wrote about it. Team, what did you learn about this team over the last month since they've been operating in spring ball?
A couple things. One, the coordinator picture is way different than it was last year. Tony White and John Butler are probably the closest, but Butler's defense is going to take more chances. I thought Tony White had a very solid scheme that was aggressive at times, but at other times it was not. I think you're going to see John Butler take more chances. So there's a difference there. And Dana Holgorsen and Marcus Satterfield are very different, and Mike Eckler and Ed Foley are very different.
Yeah.
And I think you're just going to see a lot more chances taken, a lot more aggression, a lot of different vibe on the offense and special teams. That's 2 areas where they really need to grow. And, I think going forward, you're going to see a team that's just tries to is a little bit more on the edge. I thought, Raiola seemed to have a really good spring, according to his teammates. According to him, he seemed relaxed. He seemed like a leader. He seemed like the guy. I thought he came off really well and not uncertain at all. Then it comes down to the individual positions. I think defensive line, still work in progress. Linebackers, maybe a little bit better than we think. Secondary, very competitive on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive line, they seem to be really pleased with that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then running backs, we'll see. Marty Brown's, I think, making a decision today. That's interesting. And then wide receivers, we've heard for many years they're going to be better there. I think they actually will be. And then I think the quarterback position is improved. The tight end position needs some more work. When you lose Fedoni, who was drafted into the NFL, and Borkercher, who could be drafted next year, you need some other guys to come along and frankly get healthy, whether that's Carter Nelson or Mac Markway or anybody else.
Okay, totally. A lot of stuff that you just said there, I've a lot of topics come out of that. Nate Borkercher, by the way, is I don't know. It was one of the more like confounding losses, like transfer portal losses. Like, man. And then also, I think it'll be one of the tougher ones to swallow. Like if you're thinking about tight end position, it's not like the most important position on the field or anything like that. But year over year, there's like a bunch of questions at that position and guys that you're going to be trusting who haven't really played that much. If you had Borkercher, the feeling's a lot different.
I agree. Yeah, I think they'd be in a little bit more solid spot. I think from his perspective too, though, there was probably a sense of maybe wanting to try something new. God, I mean, he'd been in Nebraska for 5 years, so I totally understand him wanting to do that. If a guy wants to go, let him go. And I think he got paid pretty good to go to A&M. And so Lindenmeyer's a good football player, and I think he's going to be fine. Now you got to find another guy to go with him. Is that going to be Harburg? Yeah, probably. And Heinrich's a great athlete. So he was probably going to take some snaps away from anybody. And then you got Caden Echternock, and then you got Carter Nelson and Markway. And, I'm sure everybody hopes those guys are back by next year and next fall. And, that'll be a fun picture to watch. I think Harburg's coming along. There were some wild predictions early this spring. Well, he's going to lead the team, or he's going to have 40 grabs. And if he has 20 grabs for 300 yards, that's great.
that would be good.
That's really good. Like, that's what you're looking for. You want a big play from Harburg. You don't need him to be the guy that catches the little 4-yard out and, or 3rd and 5 and he catches a 6-yard curl. Those are all fine, but Harburg's athleticism suggests you want him to make big plays. And so hopefully he could have 18 catches for 310 and he'd be like, yeah, that guy's a weapon. You have to remember where he's at when he's on the field. And that's part of what makes an offense good, is when somebody can even be a threat and they don't necessarily get the ball and they affect the play.
Sam, I got the same sense as you this spring about how they feel about the offensive line. I when those transfers came in and Pritchett is going to, lock down left tackle, and we'll see how, good he is, but at least you have some certainty of that spot. And Spindler sounds like has been everything that they've, paid for and gotten more so far on the offensive line. What has it been for you, the tip off to, man, I think that they really like their offensive line this year? Because we've said that before, or maybe felt that before, but now I don't know. I don't have many questions about that group going into the season.
I think some of it is that that if somebody goes down, there's some youth that can develop. That they've got some depth. So if a guy has a busted wheel, and that happens to offensive linemen, somebody else is going to go in there and hold his own. I think that's part of it. I think the top line guys, there's probably a couple NFL draft picks in there, right? I think Spindler might be, and I think Pritchett will be if he's healthy, which is encouraging. I think there's just there's a good blend of old and young, athletic and strong, all those things. And I think Donovan Rowe has really settled in to being Nebraska's offensive line coach. I think when he got here, he was really tentative, unsure, didn't trust anybody. And now he's able to kind of be himself. And he's still not giving us a lot, but he's given us a little bit more, and you can tell when a coach gets comfortable and says, okay, I'm going to be a little bit myself. And I feel good about what I'm doing with the group. I can come out here for 10 minutes and kind of joke and talk and have a little fun. And that's when a coach feels good about his unit. And I think he feels very good about that group. Where
has Dylan Raiola made a bigger stride, physically or from the leadership kind of, how he interacts with his teammates standpoint?
The latter, I think, and that one's more important in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good that he shaped his body and can run a little bit more on third down or whatever they need him to. But he will take another jump in athleticism and conditioning when he goes to the NFL. It's just what they require. Everybody, loses weight and redefines and gets more flexible and all these things. So like Dylan will get there when he's finally able to kind of work nonstop with a personal trainer, and you'll see him, lean out and get even more athletic. Where he needed to take a jump, and I think this has happened, is being able to lead that team and, lead positively and also lead, when he has to get in somebody's, face mask. And I think that's probably happened. I think he seems certainly more comfortable, and this offense suits him better.
Yes.
And that's not to knock Satterfield at all, but Dylan is a smart kid, that we can tell, who plays better on feel and rhythm. And I think play action pass, waiting for the 17-yard deep end. It's not that he can't do it, but in the shotgun, getting the ball out of his hands, finding a rhythm, and then working over the course of 4 quarters to really riddle the defense. That's what he can do. And I think Holgerson's going to put him in position to say, okay, you're gonna get the ball, and we want it out of your hands, and we want you to make fast decisions, and we want your playmakers to make plays. And I think he will. He'll be like, yes, sir. I think he'll love it. And so I think that's the bigger areas. He likes the offense. He knows it. I think he likes his teammates. He's comfortable in his leadership role now more than he was. And some of the guys that are going to be playing are his guys. Like they're not guys that, like last year, guys that just walked who were already there and were kind of like, hey, I've been here for 4 years. It was, okay, this center, Justin Evans, this is, they're roughly the same age. And these, Ja'Cory Barney is Raiola's receiver. He's not some other, he's not somebody else's, that's the only guy Barney's caught passes from, that kind of stuff. And so I think it'll pay dividends for them going into the offseason and during the season.
How difficult is the football, because we talk about the freshman to sophomore year jump all the time, and I'm with you. I think what he's done in the sort of, off the field intangible stuff has been huge for him. He seems like a different person, seems like a different kind of player now and how he interacts with his teammates. But the on the field stuff, you talk about that jump and what you just mentioned in the context of what they're going to do offensively. How difficult is a read is that for you? Like what he needs to do better from that standpoint, given that the apparatus around him should be, a little bit more fine-tuned going into his sophomore year.
Yeah, well, I think they have a real good idea of what he needs to do better on the field for sure. And I'm not a coach or a former player or quarterback, and so I encourage you to talk to people who have done the position. But there are things Dylan can get better at, and it relates to his feet, and it relates to trusting it, letting go of the football, and I think it'll help for him to get the ball out of his hands. I think Holgerson's offense certainly can hold on to the ball for 7 seconds before you throw it. I mean, see Patrick Mahomes under Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, Mahomes was running around for 11 seconds. But the essence of the offense is get the ball, process fast, get the ball to a guy in space, let him cook. And I think Dylan can do that. And I think that's an area where he will be good. And then I think, he's got to learn how to step up into the pocket a little bit better, throw the football, keep his feet anchored as he does it. Don't fall off your pass. All those things. I mean, there's all kinds of tweaks that they're going to make that aren't hard for him. There's just no other way to put it. He's physically gifted. Don't get me wrong, but he's coordinated. There's just no other way to explain that. And so those changes won't be hard to make. They just got to be consistent with them.
Sam, before we let you go, you didn't mention the draft story of the weekend in your rewind today. Any thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and the whole saga and why and where he ended up and why he ended up there?
I thought about it in the context of actually, like Dylan's going to go into the NFL draft in a couple of years, and could that happen to him? And the conclusion, I was like, no, it won't, because Dylan's father has just handled this so well. And I'm not to say that Deion has handled it poorly. I mean, Deion's a coach, so, but Dylan is so much his own guy, and I think one of the things that hurt Shedeur was it just wonder sometimes if he's such a loyal kid to his dad that he's more focused on making sure his dad is happy with what he's doing than doing what needs to be done. I think I watched him twice live, and he cooked Nebraska a couple of years ago. He really did. Now, They sacked him a bunch of times, but he played really well in that game. The next time, he didn't play very well. And I'm guessing that's some of the tape that people showed. of like, well, if your guys can get covered, and they did a good job of covering almost everybody but Travis Hunter. If you can cover their guys, he struggles to know what to do because he's not going to run around or run for 17 yards. And so you're able to go into a cover 2 with man underneath, and what's Shedeur going to do? And so he's got to work through that, and I think over time he will. I thought he had a hell of a group of receivers, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, Hunter obviously is good, but Wester's good too. They had good receivers. So he got helped by those guys a little bit. He'll have to adjust, and I don't know. Like, I could talk about it for a long time. I think there's a couple of anonymous sources that did him a little disservice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how anonymous one of them really, like, we kind of heard, if anybody listens to Todd McShay, and I still like Todd, I know he doesn't work for ESPN anymore. He was probably the best on Shedeur Sanders over the weekend on his podcast, and I encourage people to listen to it. He kind of explains that one of the meetings didn't go well and what happened. I'm just guessing that kind of got around, and then so a bunch of people heard it. So I'm guessing that was part of it. And Cleveland is willing to take a chance, and that's great. He could, he could start there. He really could. Joe Flacco's, in the sunset of his fine career, his elite career.
Nice.
And then you got DTR, who Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's probably not going to play. And then you got Kenny Pickett, and I mean, I'll take Shedeur Sanders over Kenny Pickett any day of the week. And then Dylan Gabriel, I don't know. We'll see. I was never. Dylan played here. I saw Gabriel live when he played for OU, and he had a good game that day. But I was not blown away by him in that game either. Nebraska couldn't stop anything in the run that day. I mean, Oklahoma's run game humiliated Nebraska, but Dylan was just okay. I think Sanders is the second best quarterback on that team, unless Kenny Pickett learned how to do some things that he hasn't learned how to do in the NFL yet.
All right, Sam. Great stuff as always. Appreciate it. Enjoy your week. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. His rewind is up. Talking about Nebraska having a little bit of fiber, a little bit of flair, and a little bit of fire. That's right. The 3 Fs, Josh.
Okay. Fiber threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to do with that one.
They got the fiber.
They got that fiber.
Don't worry, Sam. There's always a method to Sam's madness.
They're regulated
in the rewind. We'll be back. A couple more things to cover before we get out of here. The draft for the Huskers. How did that go? And a couple other things. There's actually some news in the NBA too.
There is.
I didn't watch any NBA playoff games over the weekend. Not because I wasn't allowed to, because I was blacked out. I just didn't get around to it.
Okay.
Maybe
Aaron
the next
Gordon dunking that thing.
Maybe the next round, Josh. What's that series? It's my favorite team. What's their series at? 2-2?
2-2.
All right. It's a good one.
It's the only competitive one
what's
of
about
the 8.
The Lakers are going to lose it.
It sure seems that way.
I did. I know. I always know when the T-Wolves win because I always see the Awoo video come across my timeline, which is truly good piece of internet.
Lakers are down 3-1.
Whoa!
Don't blow a 3-1 lead.
Whoa! Definitely. I did see the video of the Ant-Man getting in Bronny a little bit, or LeBron. Not Bronny.
Okay,
Bronny is
sure.
not present.
There is a difference.
Yes, I almost forgot that there is a Bronny.
Bronny not getting any playoff minutes.
LeBron James Senior. Yes. But yeah, that's all. That's it. So I'm relying on you. You guys are my eyes everywhere this weekend.
He's a real antagonist.
Nice, Josh.
Thank you.
Back after this, 1620 The Zone. Well, Milwaukee Bucks star Damian Lillard has suffered a torn Achilles. That's according to everyone. But Chris Haynes says they told me.
Which is really weird because
the sources told everyone else at the same time.
And anyone who watched the game knew, oh, that's an Achilles.
Yeah.
It was really...
It's kind of a Kevin Durant situation.
It was really sad to just watch him
I know,
sitting on the court by himself like, oh.
It's like there's nothing I could do. Mm-hmm. Now, weirdly, I didn't feel that way when it happened to Rodgers.
No, it was so funny.
Everyone knew that he tore his Achilles. What can you grade the Achilles injuries?
Okay.
Grade the Achilles injuries by which you felt most emotion. Well, most sadness toward.
Most sadness?
Yes. Which is the saddest Achilles injury you've ever seen?
Durant.
I think so.
Kobe.
Kobe was a good one though because Kobe shot the free throw.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Ooh, look at that. Look at the stones on that one. I'll go. I mean, we can't include everyone on this list.
The Achilles. So the Achilles, the ACL tear, although less so now, depending on what sport you're playing, and the Tommy John. When the guys are walking off the court, mound, field after suffering one of those injuries, and you know it. It's very sad every time. I saw that video a lot of times this weekend for some reason. I don't know why it kept showing me this. The one of, I believe it was Russ Ortiz of the Toronto Blue Jays when he threw. This is several years ago now. He was old. He was at the end of his career, and he threw a pitch, and he immediately he tried to throw his glove into the center of the earth with his offhand, with his left hand. He knew it. He's like, my career just ended. That sucked. That was a bad one, Josh. So I guess we can throw all of those together.
Dame would be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, Dame.
Aaron Rodgers would be at the bottom.
We don't have the hindsight. We don't have the hindsight of the Dame one yet, but we were just talking about it during the break. He's 34. He returns not next year, right? Or at the very tail end of next year, if he's lucky.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at probably 35 and a half, closer to 36-year-old that you're getting.
He's a July baby. So he's about to be 35 already.
Okay. He
won't be playing another NBA game likely until he's until he's 36.
He missed a good chunk of games this year.
Yes.
Due to a blood clot.
Yes.
So that's not.
Old.
That's
the NBA is old as hell now.
That sidelined Chris Bosh for his career.
Look at these guys. I mean, Dame will be 36 next time he plays in an NBA game. Harden's 35, Curry's 37, LeBron's 40, 39, 40, whatever. I mean, this is the old guard is headed out. Kevin Durant. He came back from the Achilles injury.
He did come back.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. But anyway, sad. The Bucks are apparently trailing the Pacers 3-1 in that series. Is what I'm told anyway.
Might be cashing in all of their chips in the offseason.
Oh, you think a Giannis trade's coming?
Oh my gosh. The NBA honks are writing article and long read about the end of the Giannis era in Milwaukee.
How long has Simmons been podcasting about this?
I believe 18 consecutive hours. Have to get the finer points from Josh Peterson.
I have to check where Giannis rated in his trade value rankings column that he puts out every year.
It's got to be pretty high, right?
Brad writes in on the email
Hi, Brad.
inbox. I can't remember the name of the running back, but he played for Minnesota. It was the opening night game against Ohio State, and he was having a great game. Minnesota was on the cusp of pulling the upset, and then he tore his Achilles in the fourth quarter. Oh, a couple years ago, Mo Ibrahim. Did that happen to him? I feel like I vaguely remember something like that. Did that happen to him? Oh boy, I hope I didn't just mess that up. RDJ fan writes in, by the way, NBA honks, all 5 of them. Matthew says there was a Bears running back who tore his Achilles on Instagram Live. Tariq Cohen. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Abraham spent several minutes in the medical tent and was seen on the sidelines with his foot in a boot. It was subsequently reported that he suffered a quote-unquote clear Achilles injury.
Okay, so it was him. What? Who was the one? Who was the one a couple years ago who ran onto the field in the Super Bowl? Greenlaw.
Yes.
Remember, he was standing on the sideline and they like jumped into action, and then boom, he like jumped up in the air, and Fred Warner was right there. He's like, "Oh my God, that did not just happen. This is the Super Bowl. Yeah, that did not just happen." That was a pretty bad one. That one. Now we didn't really notice that one at the time. That one was a more NFL Films presents afterwards. Like, oh my God, I just got really sad for that guy. Okay, all right. So if you think about it, grade your Achilles tears.
Aaron Rodgers at the bottom.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
That one was funny.
I felt no emotion toward that one
because it was 3 plays into the season.
Really whatsoever.
On Monday Night Football.
Sad. Couple of NFL items that I want to get to as well.
Please.
This one involves radio hosts. This is always good. I love when this happens.
Radio hosts.
That's right. The Bills general manager Brandon Beane began his Monday today by going on WGR 550's Jeremy and Joe show.
Good name.
Damn it. We just need a Jeremy and Joe. Yeah.
It hits the ear
God,
better.
It's just so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was brought on the show and, they made a quick quip like, "Hey, thanks Brandon for joining us. We appreciate it. You've been really busy, I assume." And then, they wanted a response from that. And he said, quote, he said that he was listening to the discussion before he came on the show and said, quote, "This sounds like 2018 all over again with you guys." He's immediately firing shots. It's like, yeah, we can talk about my busiest, or we can talk about how wrong you guys are. So he said this, "Well, you guys were bitching in 2018 about Josh Allen, and you guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are bitching that we don't have a receiver." Bean said when asked what he meant. "We just scored 30 points in a row for 8 straight games. A year ago, I get you guys were asking where we don't have wide receivers, but now I don't get it. You guys just saw us lead the league in points. When you add all the postseason, no one scored more points than the Buffalo Bills, including the Super Bowl champions. So you just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs. Same group. How is this group not better than last year's group? Our job is to score points and win games. Where do we need to get better? Defense. So we did that. So I get it. You got to have a show. You got to have something to bitch about. But bitching about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments that I've ever heard." End quote. That's so
Boy,
sick.
he had that one locked.
He was so ready. To go.
Ready.
He's like, "We drafted defense, baby.
Go."
Word of the wise. If you're going to say something about the future guests on your show, just they know they might be listening.
And everybody told us earlier in the show, it doesn't. Mel Kiper won't be in trouble because nobody remembers anything you guys say about anything. Just say things. It's fine. People remember, man.
People don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
They listen to the radio shows. One day, maybe one of our guests will come on and say, "Hey, I was listening beforehand, and your guys' takes are so good."
Hey, I got a question. You invited me on here. Why is it you call me middle school rule all the time? What's
That's
that
not
about?
me, Coach.
It's not
That's
us.
Greg and Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Not us. We would
Now,
never.
if we had Garrett McGuire on, and he was like, "I heard that you refer to me as tiny baby boy," I would have no defense for that.
Well,
I would say,
"Sir, you were a child when you were hired here.
You couldn't rent a car. I'm sorry.
Understand your dad is very good at football."
Also, the Washington Football Commanders have released renderings of their new stadium.
Going back to DC. Oh my God! Have you seen the renderings? Have you seen the renderings? Oh.
Josh,
The Capitol will be in the background. Woo!
What's your problem?
We just need them wearing the pig noses in the stands again.
What's your problem?
I don't know. I saw it was cluttering up my feed from these NFL
It's a
honks.
cool stadium.
Sure. I don't need every one of you to tweet about it. 2 of you can tweet about it. That's it.
Somebody, one of the local reporters in DC referred to it as the new RFK Stadium.
We're not calling it that.
They should. It'd be a great bit.
There's no cotton candy. There's just celery sticks and organic vegetables.
Every NFL team is now just going to build their version of what the Rams did. That's every stadium now.
It's going
to look like that.
Beginning
to
end.
The ceiling is glass. The outside is glass. The whole thing is made of glass. And the scoreboard there's actually no scoreboard. There's just ribbon boards going around the entire.
It's all around you.
The entire stadium. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna put a little hole in the back of the stadium. So because it's made of glass, and through that hole in the seats, you could see the Capitol building. It's right down the street.
It's right there.
Genius. Opens in 2030.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? We know how things work in DC.
I understand.
Usually very fast.
I
didn't know you hated the Commanders.
I don't hate the Commanders.
You hate the Washington football Commanders.
I'll tell you what I hate. It is a hyper-specific thing that I hate. I hate when everyone in the media tweets the exact same thing. Look.
You must hate Nebraska.
We don't all all follow all of these people. It's not just, I only get my Husker news from Sean Callahan. No, we follow Sean Callahan, Mike Schaefer,
who
Bruntz.
Gets designated as the person if there is news? Nebraska has hired a new defensive line coach. A press release has come out. It's impossible to only see that by one person because 1,000 people get the press release and they all copy and paste it at the same time. Who are you saying that we should designate one person to tweet the press releases?
100%.
Who should that be?
I don't know. I think it should be
Mel Kiper,
a 23-year-old who graduated from Nebraska literally last year. Yes.
Who needs followers?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can all retweet his announcement. You cannot quote tweet it and hashtag Huskers.
What if you want to provide analysis?
I don't love it, but I get it. Maybe reply.
What about the recruit? When the recruit does his top 5 list and then you quote that and you say, here are the top 5, but it's already in the graphic. What about that?
Feels redundant to
me. Maybe a little bit.
Media. It's quicker. It's quicker to hit that.
I'm looking forward to this cool stadium, Josh. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. You hate the Commanders, I guess, though.
I don't hate the Commanders. I'm rooting for their success, as are all Americans.
Black Cat writes in, no chance anyone actually reads those novels McMaster put. Yeah, so Matt decided to pay for Twitter so he could do long tweets, but he tweets everything that happened in the whole press conference.
Once the press conference is over.
The press conference is over.
When we've read.
We'll get with Matt and
a lot of those.
We'll work with him on his usage of the paying for Twitter thing. All right, back after this with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. right. So we didn't have any poll questions today, which is interesting because Josh has just realized that he's so angry about this whole seeing so many tweets about the new Washington Football Commanders Stadium that he has decided to do a tweet about it.
Home. The Commanders are coming home.
He's doing a tweet about it now.
I did a tweet during the break.
Dear NFL media, no one outside of DC knew the Commanders didn't play in DC. It's not the story you think it is. Love, Josh.
Put love in there.
I hope that the NFL media sees that.
Boy, I hope no one Twitter searches Commanders today.
That's true. They'll be Twitter searching Commanders. Yeah. Maybe you get freezing cold taked when they learn that everyone actually did know that, or something like that.
American confused by geography, that would not be a shock to anyone. Well, they played in Bethesda. It's actually 37 miles outside of our nation's capital.
Land. They always said Landover, right?
Oh, yeah.
Landover.
You can't even get Old Bay crab cakes there.
Dude, they got plenty. You ever been to Maryland? They got the crab cakes. You ever been to Southern Maryland?
No. I know crab cakes and football is all they do in Maryland.
Check it out. Check out Southern Maryland. Shout out to my boys at in Southern Maryland at the pier. I got a good crab cake there.
Oh my God! Great point here by Josh Peterson.
What?
People forget the Jets and Giants play in New Jersey. Could you imagine if they,
quote
unquote, came home to New York City?
If they built a New York football stadium.
Oh my God!
Now Yankee Stadium is on the old home of the Polo Grounds, right? Or something. So there's one.
It's been on every
whatever it is. But if they built, if they somehow plowed out 6 city blocks of whatever it is, and they put the football stadium there, we'd never hear the end of it. Josh would be the most triggered person on planet Earth. He'd be so mad.
Finally, New York. For New York, by New York.
He'd be so mad. You would be the angriest person.
I would.
All right, so we got no poll questions, but we do have a what to watch.
Yes, we are watching the very quickly though. Want to shout out listener of the show, Mike McKnight, for being selected to the Nebraska Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame.
Whoa!
Class of 2025. Congrats, Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
Excellent news. Congratulations. Well deserved.
That's right. And we'll celebrate by watching some of the NBA
Will he get
playoffs.
A cake? Will he get a cake like John Nicely did?
I believe John had 2 cakes. I'm gonna need at least that amount of love for current employee Mike McKnight. NBA playoffs. The Cavaliers look to finish off the Miami Heat tonight. 6:30 start on TNT. Cavs lead 3-0. Rockets are in Golden State to take on the Warriors.
They don't play in Oakland anymore. They moved to San Francisco.
San Francisco.
What is Golden State anyway?
They took the bridge.
Why do we sound like Austin Butler being Elvis? I don't know.
One of our best bits. 9 o'clock TNT. Warriors lead that series 2-1. Hockey playoffs. The battle for Floridian supremacy continues as the Panthers host the Lightning. 6 o'clock on ESPN. Panthers lead that series 2-1. Game 5 between the Avs and the Stars. 8:30 on ESPN. That series tied at 2 apiece.
As you go through all these teams, I'm just making a mental note of if they actually play in the cities that they claim to be from. So far, we're checking out.
The New York Mets.
They play in Queens. That counts.
Take on the Washington Nationals.
They play in D.C. That counts.
That's a proper team that plays in a proper city. 3 o'clock here on MLB Network, followed by Cardinals and Reds.
Cardinals, Reds, check.
And then, oh my gosh, the Cincinnati Airport's in Kentucky, though. Oh my gosh, what if the Cincinnati Airport
People
came home?
forget. It's an interesting point.
That's right. Then Marlins, Dodgers at 9 o'clock on all those games on MLB Network. And finally, the USC needs to end at 6 o'clock tonight because Joey's got to get home and watch the docu-series finale of Celtic City at 8 o'clock tonight. Our long national nightmare is over as the 27,000-part Bill Simmons documentary on the Boston Celtics comes to an end.
Thank God.
The team captures its record-breaking 18th championship, solidifying its spot as one of the greatest dynasties in sports history.
Oh, yeah, I bet they did.
I don't think beating the Mavs qualifies as a dynasty.
Did they talk about what Jason Tatum didn't do?
I don't know.
Anything?
He didn't need to.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
So we're watching tonight. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.